We have some special guests to lead us in the pledge. Ms. Sherman.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos.
Yes.
They'll be back, right?
Will they be back?
Sign players coming.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they.
So they won't be back.
I'm Mrs. King.
Sherman and Elsa Sport, who helps me with sign players. Group of first, second, third, and fourth grade. So I'm gonna sing a little song for you. Okay? The Charmin Tigers are number one. We do our work and we get it done. Well, we don't, well, we won't fight with others. No, we won't. Yes!
Yeah, can we take a quick picture with them?
Sure.
Sit down. We'll just get behind them, you don't know. I'll make. Whoever wants to take it has to come on this side of the room. Yeah.
See if I can get off the video. I got this way, just a minute. I open it there.
Okay. One through, 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Perfect.
Are there any parents that want a quick picture before they move? You're welcome to go over there.
Come on, Mom.
I'll let somebody else in on the other one. Okay. I'll move that way. Smile big. Oh, yeah. Randy, don't move.
Hi, guys. Hold on.
And,
Take my picture.
Hi, thank you so much for coming and doing your.
Are they part of the later presentation, school presentation?
No, they're not.
Okay. You guys want to come by here across the front of the table
We'll give you a high five.
and we'll give you a high five as you. Hey, start over here. There you go.
High five. Look on the line.
There we go.
You like. Yeah.
Good job. Great job. Great job. Good job. Thank you. No.
I think I did make it. Okay. Yep, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I move we approve as presented with the following amendments. Number one, additional certified and classified personnel actions for consideration item number 8.3.
Third second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passed. And we have one public comment from Russ Tidwell.
Already had the highlight of the night, so
Try and outdo that. I dare you.
not gonna, go try. I am, normally I see you in my other capacity. Tonight I'm here as a representative of Garden City Education Association's executive team. And next week is National Education Week, and we wanted to take a minute just to say thank you to our school board members. In a democracy, decisions are made by people who show up and vote, which is my plug for everybody to go vote tomorrow. You all show up, you spend your time, you spend your energy, agree or disagree, and we all do some of both. We need to thank you for your time. We do appreciate your time and energy. So thank you from Garden City Education Association. We have some gift bags for you. And so we just want to say thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. A lot of time. A lot of time. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
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 Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Now back to the show.
Okay, next up, we have an award that's being presented.
I did.
This is Oaks up here. Oh, yeah. So the Civic Advocacy Network is a program offered through KSTE. It's incentivizes doing civic advocacy types of activities, instruction in government, history and law, those types of things, as well as community service, extracurricular activities that support our community and help with our community. and it encourages the students to be good citizens. And each year, there are opportunities for schools to apply and show what they have done, and then KSDE reviews all of those applications and then assigns, if you will, or awards certain schools that have shown outstanding civic advocacy network opportunities for students. This year, we were informed that Edith Sherman won the Civic Advocacy Network Award for Garden City. So we're really proud of what Edith Sherman has done, and I'll let Brandy tell you a little bit more about maybe what her school specifically has done to earn the award.
Yeah. So thank you for having us tonight. We're very excited about the Civic Engagement Award. When Glenda and I visited about possibly applying for this, I thought it would be a learning experience, one, and two, I thought it would help us find areas that we could grow in with our civic engagement. And so we filled out the application in the spring, and it was a very lengthy application, and we had to cite a lot of evidence to get the award. And so we were very excited when we found out that we were given this award. And so even though we still feel like we have a lot of room to grow in civic engagement, I'm very proud of our staff and students for how much they've worked towards this. Some of the things that we've done at Edith Sharman to earn this award is, as you can see, one, it's giving students leadership opportunities and having them be more civically engaged. Our sign choir is actually one of the areas that we put in our application, is that our students, they practice every Monday, but they also perform all over the community for different people. We also put our bank, we have an Edith Sharman piggy bank where we partner up with Dream First. And every Tuesday morning, our students lead the bank and service the community members that have accounts at Edith Sharman. We also have been working really hard on student discussions in our building. And so whenever teachers pose questions, the students will do what we call a turn and talk or a turn and learn. And so they engage in conversations about the content that they're learning, and they discuss if they agree or disagree, and they cite evidence for their thinking. And so that's another big component. We also have a student council. So that is something that we've really worked on this year to make even better. So the Stuco members have to first decide that they want to be a leader in the building. And then from that, they have to campaign and make posters and put the posters all over the building. And they have to talk about what they want to do to make Edith Sharman a better place to be. And so you'll hear from, in our presentation, one of our Stuco members that became, the students all voted. And so they selected the Stuco members that will lead our school. And those are 3rd and 4th graders. And so a big part of the civic engagement for our building is that we're really building leaders within our students and that they are having a voice. We've really implemented more voting. The PTO raised a bunch of money to buy the whole entire staff and students t-shirts. And one of the things that they got to do after that was they got to design a t-shirt, and the students got to vote what t-shirt that they want. So a big part of it is just also giving students voice, allowing them to be a part of the voting process. So when they become adults like us, they can make big choices and vote for what they feel like is best for our city, our community, and in our overall our country. And so those are just a few of the things that we put in the application, but really all of the work is being done by the students and the staff and growing in the area of civic engagement. Do you have any questions about that?
Questions, comments?
Fantastic.
No, just
Yeah,
congratulations on that success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We get more of Edith Sharman with their building presentation. Okay. There's some leaders coming up.
Good evening.
Here, let's go in front of them. There. Right, there's that.
Good evening. My name is Faith Martinez, and I have been in Edith Sharman Terrific Sign Choir since 1st grade, and now I'm in 4th. Our sign choir meets every Monday, and we perform for the community throughout the school year. Hello, my name is Walter and I am in at our school. We have a school bank called Peter Sherman Piggy Bank. Our school partner is Dream First Bank. School bank is open every Tuesday morning before the school and is led by student leaders like me. Hi, my name is Melanie Svante. Every Friday we have the news of the day. A teacher in Chicago Falls teacher Mrs. Mountain on intercom, and we come to the office to receive a prize. Hello, my name is Marla Garcia at Edith Sherman. Our wildly important goal is all second grade students will reach or exceed their growth gain goals in the Fastbridge assessment CBM. To meet this goal, all students are working on grade appropriate fluency skills during our daily fluency. Hi, I am Zoe Lang and I am in 4th grade and I am a member of our student council. To become a member of student council, I have to run a campaign by making a poster and advertising around the school. As a leader in my school, my goal is to be more kind.
Very nice. Very nice.
So as you can see, a big part of Edith Sharman is we are going to be a Leader in Me school. This is our first year doing Leader in Me. And so a combination between the civic engagement and also Leader in Me is that we're really trying to instill leadership in our students. And they're the ones doing all the hard work with the staff. And so they wanted to tell you about our school tonight. So thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Great.
Comments. Thank you.
I'd like to say thanks to the parents too, because it's probably the biggest crowd we've had for this. And, you know, when parents are involved, it makes all the difference. And I know it's, especially with the time change, it gets dark, we're tired, we've worked all day. But we just are really thankful for your presence here for tonight and for your kiddos. And guys, you guys did a great job. So thank you so much for coming and for showing us what you're doing at your school. I feel like we should have went to your school because it's like the whole school's here. So it's really fun for us to be able to see what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Question on campaigning. In running your campaign, what was the most difficult thing about it?
Probably coming up with a reason why I should become a part of student council.
Okay, very nice. Thank you all for your leadership and for your presentation tonight.
A great job. Please come shake our hands too. First with me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Good study, nice. Good job, Betty.
Good job.
You guys.
Oh, yeah. Proud of you. Proud of you. Shopping at Studio Kids.
Melanie, mine.
One more.
We want to do one more picture, okay?
Again.
So stand right, I think they're gonna hear you. Right back next, okay? Turn that way. Yeah, we'll face this way this time. Get in the line. Got enough room back there?
Oh.
That's right.
Brody, are you ignoring me?
Sure, you want to there, figured you want to be in there.
Hi.
How are you, buddy?
Good.
Thank you.
One more.
Yeah. Parents.
Thank you, Josh. Someone.
Guys.
Bye, Brody.
Have a good night. Thank you, John.
Wrong way.
I just like this, that much distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Well, sure.
No. Telling.
All right. Okay, there isn't any correspondence. Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda, please.
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda. Written. I don't think there's anything added.
Oh.
We can do it.
Fine. But I have on this.
Want to go ahead?
Okay,
I make a motion that item 5E be removed from the consent agenda for discussion.
okay.
Is
that old? New business or old business? Okay.
Yeah, new business.
And second,
That's going under number 4, new business.
yeah, 4E is,
5E is
5E.
gonna be moved to new business
Okay.
number 4.
Yeah, chief.
I was getting my numbers turned around, sorry. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. That will be removed from the consent agenda.
So Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda, the updated or amended consent agenda.
For a second,
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passed on the consent. We'll have that moved to new business. And we will move on to curriculum reports, graduation rate with Mr. Norby and company. You're all important. I just hadn't read off.
Right. All right, thanks, Jason. Okay, well, folks, this is our yearly presentation concerning the graduation rate at our different schools. Just a reminder that the formula for doing graduation rate, it's hard and fast, and it's the same one for every school in the nation. It is a strict, primarily a strict 4-year cohort. So from spring of 2019 to spring of 2022. So it's the number of 2022 graduates divided by the number of first-time ninth graders in the fall of 2018, plus the transfers in minus the transfers who are leaving. And it's, as I said, it's a pretty hard and fast formula. And sometimes it works really to our advantage, and sometimes it really doesn't. I think last year I told you about a student who attended Garden City High School for less than a week and ended up was there because of being in a foster family situation, turned 18 in the first week of May. And then when you turn 18, you're out of the foster system. So the student left town, and we don't know where they went, where the student went, but that student counted as a dropout against Garden City High School because we were the last school they attended. Next year, when I present to you, I'll be talking to you about a student who attended Garden City High School for 1 day and counted against us as a dropout, moved in, attended for a day, and then decided I'm just going to get my GED. And so that student will count against us. So that goes to a lot of our factors here. We got a lot of limiting factors, and we have some factors that work in our favor. We do have a very migratory population in our town. So like I was giving you those 2 examples, a lot of students in, a lot of students out. Of course, this is still a group of students. Last year's seniors were the ones who missed the spring of their sophomore year. And then the fall of their junior year. We were in school, we were out of school, we had a lot of students at home taking classes. And that was a tough academic year during their junior year. And so the students who graduated really did persevere through all of that, but it was tough. It was a big factor. Of course, all the different languages we speak in our homes, and our large ELL population. Some things that work in our favor, our layout. Since we've gone to the new system of academies at Garden City High School, our graduation rate has climbed steadily. Our system of senior conferences to talk about what's next. Some of you are getting to do that this year. Plans of study, trying to think about what is next. Where's your goal? How can we help you meet your goal? Our truancy diversion program that we've got has helped us. And the community partnerships and the partnerships with different organizations like JAG and communities and schools. Our partnership with the community college has really been a good thing for us and has really worked in our favor. So as a result, and you probably can't see the numbers in there, but this year we'll set an all-time record for Garden City High School at 90.9% graduation rate. That's an increase. That's just an increase of 0.1% or 0.01% actually. We were 90.8 last year. In our 5-year graduation rate, they do calculate a 5-year graduation rate, even though it doesn't do anything for us. You can't use it for any of your reporting or anything like that. We are at 95.4% for last spring's graduation graduates. That's up 1.6 percentage points. So that's a good increase for us. We try to do each year for you is break down the different subgroups that the state breaks down and names. So we have a lot of them at the high school. Basically, it takes over 30 students. If you have 30 or more in a subgroup, then it counts. If you don't have 30, then the state doesn't really count that in a lot of their reporting. In our white subgroup, we stayed even at 95.6% graduation. In our Hispanic subgroup, we're up to 93.4%. That's an increase of 2.5% over last year. So we're really proud of that. In our free and reduced lunch subgroup, which is a big group for us, 3 percentage points to 90.6. And our ELL students increased over 4 percentage points to 91.7%. When you look at where the rest of the state is, we're almost 10 percentage points ahead of where the state was last year. We don't have the state numbers for this year yet. They haven't advertised them or haven't put them out yet. And our student with disabilities subgroup, this is probably our smallest of the subgroups, the major subgroups that count. So there's a lot of variability there. There may be only 30 or 40 students in that subgroup. So 1 or 2 kids, one way or the other, can really swing that subgroup. And so we were up to 87.2%. So we're up almost 2 percentage points there. Once again, though, well ahead of the state as a whole. And so we're really, really proud of being well ahead of the state in all those different groups at Garden City High School. And we've talked about some of these things. We've discussed some of these recognitions, and I think the effort that we put into some of these programs have really helped in our graduation rate. We've talked to you about being a Kansas Board of Regents All-Star School, and so the things that we're doing to try to help students think about what's next. We just completed the Apply Kansas event for this year. We're going to be working on different FAFSA nights to help students and families get prepared for a potential next step. And some of you last year participated in the Decision Day event, which was a lot of fun. Having our seniors kind of celebrate wherever life's going to take them next after high school. Our plan of study, the work we put into the plan of study also, we think it goes a long way towards the graduation rate in that we're getting kids to start thinking, as I said, about what that next step is. Not waiting till they're in their senior year to try to figure out, well, what am I going to do next year? No, we're starting to think about that in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, all the way through. And then I think Mr. Meng mentioned about the KSDE, the Commissioner's Award we've received the last few years for our post-secondary success numbers. And so we think all of that goes into the fact that a school as large and as diverse as Garden City High School can be outperforming the rest of the state in these areas. Next steps. We always talk every time I give this presentation about what the next steps might be. We really need to continue intervention, academic intervention, credit recovery. We have a lot of kids that still have needs, especially after, even a year or two after COVID and being in and out of classes, helping dig out of that credit hole that some of them fell into when they weren't in school. They were doing remote learning. We keep looking at all of our subgroups and trying to identify trends. We keep trying to improve what we do as far as intervention, where we're lucky to have using ESSER's funds an at-risk counselor to try to work with students and families who have fallen behind and identify them early and help them be successful. The K-State Career Advisor that we're in our 2nd year of having at Garden City High School has been really great. Her duty is really meeting individually, in addition to the counselor meetings, with all of our potential graduates and really talking about what's next and what can we do to help you in your journey. And our increased interventions, we're doing a lot of really good things in the Freshman Academy as far as MTSS and trying really to work hard with students. We can get them intervened while they're a freshman before they may dig a hole. That's going to be really big to getting them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. If we can get them through their freshman year with the credits they need to be moving on to be a sophomore, that's huge. They can start seeing maybe the end result. We want to continue our partnerships, especially with JAG, community in schools, and the community college. We think those are all really powerful things in reaching our kids and helping them be successful. One thing that's really big, and it doesn't show up necessarily on this screen, but I think is a big thing coming towards our district that we probably should be talking about here pretty soon, is there's been a lot of discussion through the State Board of Education and their task force on changing potentially the requirements for graduation in the state of Kansas. And we really haven't, or at least us involvement, we haven't had those discussions. What's that going to look like when the 21 credits that the state requires now changes? How does that look for us when potentially having work-based learning or some kind of community service experience becomes a recommended graduation requirement from our State Board of Education? What does that look like here when that happens, or if that happens? There potentially could be a vote on those requirements sometime this year that would start with our current 8th graders. And that's probably something we as a district should really start talking about and looking at what's been presented and what's recommended. And then how would we adjust? There are things like a personal finance class being required of every student when they come through the high school. We don't have a personal finance class on our books right now at Garden City High School.
Not at all.
Not at all. Now, we teach it as part of advanced math applications. So we do teach that as part of a class, but not its own standalone class. We don't have a class on the book just called personal finance. Now, we have it through Edgenuity, so you have it, but we don't have a business class or a math class that we could run for a semester everyone through. So those are the type of things like we probably should start that conversation here as a district about how that might look. And changes to courses like humanities now being required, and what does that mean? And what classes would we consider humanities to be in? And so just my little 2 cents on what's next. Well, we've done some great things and our numbers are great, but here's what I think might be coming up is having some discussions about what might happen when the state board, or if the state board decides to change graduation requirements coming up.
You feel like we're ahead of the game on some of that other stuff though, like the work experience and
I do.
some of those partnerships?
I'm hoping that we're gonna get better with it, but we've started the conversation with the idea of market value assets and some of those things, but we're not as far as a number of schools that we've been kind of learning from. So while I think we do have different pathways for all of our kids to get some of those experiences, would we be ready to say everybody can go out and easily get a work-based learning job or something like that here with our employers? We haven't really done enough for all 400 or 500 students in a class to get that opportunity yet. So while we've had some inroads and we're starting to work, I don't know that we're ready to say everybody. And so, yeah, no, we are. I think you're right, though. I think we are making some good progress with some of that stuff. Yeah.
Are you talking about like CAPS schools and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's, and I don't know for sure what the state board is gonna call a qualifying work-based experience, because some may be, I've seen shadowing as an example. Maybe everybody do a work-based shadow. I've seen work study or work-based learning count towards that. Some schools have talked about, and Mr. Lappin's getting ready here in a bit to talk about Buff Coffee Shop. Being a peer leader and working in that environment might count, especially if education's what's going to be in your plan of study. That might be a work-based learning opportunity to be a peer leader. And so there's a lot of pathways that might open up, but I think it's worth us kind of all looking at and seeing how might that affect us. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so giddy up.
My name's Lucas Sullivan, principal at Garden City Achieve. So this is the first year before this last school year. Garden City Achieve, Garden City Alternative Education Center, and Virtual Academy, all of the graduation rate was together. So this is the first year that Kathleen and myself are separate as far as graduation rate. So we were, I was a little hesitant to see what it was going to look like, and I was a little hesitant to see where we stood. The graphic on here doesn't have our new graduation rate. So by the state, what the state says is 68%, about 68.8%. Me and Kathleen found 6 or 7 kids that maybe went to the virtual academy but never attended Achieve that should be with her as far as a dropout or a graduate. So if you take those kids into account, it doesn't change our district average. It just changes me and Kathleen's average. Mine goes up about 5%, and I think your drops around 5%. So mine with that calculation is 73.3%. So it's half a percent down. There's just a larger margin of error now because we, instead of having 100 and some graduates between us, I had last year 43 graduates. So every kid that you take out as a drop is 5-6%. It can fluctuate either direction. So so our graduation rate for 2022, according to what we've figured out, is again 73%, 73.2%. So we're staying steady, improving. We're on a state plan of assistance with Kansas Learning Network because of the graduation rate back down in the 40s into the 50s previously in 2016, 17, 18, 19. You can see We are now above that 70% threshold, 2021, and then identical in 2022.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep, go ahead.
In your program specifically, because like Mr. Norby said, it's 4 years, it's within a 4-year span. So
Yes.
it's the same for
Yeah.
you all, right?
Yeah, this is a 4-year
Okay,
cohort
and
as well.
so in your program specifically, are kids there longer potentially, or no, or do we keep them at?
No, they can, I mean, and at either program, they can stay, usually, what is it, a year after their graduating class. So we'll keep kids, so that's why we do keep the 5-year cohort. Our 5 years, 83%, if you count the five-year cohort. But yeah, we keep them, but we don't get after. So a kid that graduates, a kid that was a last year graduate, if they graduate before October 1st of this year, we can count them towards that last year's graduation rate. But if they go past October 1st, so we have kids that should have graduated last year at all 3 of our entities. If they're still enrolled with us, then yes, they'll count. We don't get to count them in that 4-year. We keep them, we'll get them graduated, but that's why the 5-year cohort is there. But it's, yeah, they don't count. We don't get to count those
I didn't
kids. So,
see that on yours, so that does show that your
Yep.
numbers would be up.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a community number. We're interested in that number.
Yeah.
For that very
Sure.
reason.
Sure. And so essentially, it's the last school holding the bag. The last school the student attended when their cohort should have graduated. If it was with me, then I count them. If they are with me and they hadn't graduated yet, but when their class, the clock stops ticking for them when their class graduates. Whether it's with me or whether it's with him or whether it's with her, that's the ending school. And so, yeah, it's a 4-year thing. They may have started with me and ended with you, but clock starts, clock stops. And so that's how it is. It's just clock starts when they're freshmen first time.
But I know for me, and I think others in the community would be interested in that 5th year. That's why it's so important, I think, to keep those numbers. That's us here and how well are we doing without sort of the state standards or whatever. We want the kids to make it to the finish line, whether it's the 5th year.
And so some of the interventions we have at Garden City Achieve, we have an ingenuity lab that it's scheduled into a student's class. So their first hour may be the ingenuity lab and they're doing credit recovery. So if they're behind on credits, they can do credit recovery. And when they get done, let's say they're doing a health class in there, they get that done, then they can move on to the next credit. So they have time to get caught back up if they do get behind, because we do get students that are behind. We have an intervention para, and we've had the position, and I think with anything, if you have the right person in the position, then it will be successful. Jennifer Rivera, our person that does our interventions this year, has done an amazing job. She gets the F list on Mondays and she's talking to each and every kid. Okay, what assignments are you missing? What do we need to get your grades up? And so having that intervention para, somebody that just concentrates with those students that have missing assignments and getting things turned in, and why are we not getting things turned in? The later start time, we started last year. Recruitment, KLA, Kansas Learning Network really wanted us to start getting kids from the middle school. So we did. This is really the first year we have true freshmen, kids that maybe never go into Garden City High School. So we have kids that come straight from Horace Good and KH. And we get those kids and they're going to have a lot better chance of graduating on time. I have a young lady from KH. She's a sophomore and she's scheduled to graduate 2 years. But now what's next for her? So we're working on those type of things. And so we had our students go to Horace Good, KH, talk to their students. And I mean, we're up front. If you're a football player, or if you want to be in band, or if you want to be in orchestra, then this probably isn't the spot. But if there's anxiety issues, if you want to get done early, if activities aren't something that's a high priority for you, there's a number of different things. We're really honest. Automotive, we tell them if you're interested in automotive, maybe Achieve is the right place for you. Continued partnerships. I know up at the high school they have JAG. We have the Kansas Gear Up. which works with a lot of foster kids, but it's housed at JDA. The Garden City Community College Automotive Program, which we have students from Garden City High School. We have a number of students from Achieve. I believe we have 12 students right now from Achieve that are part of the automotive program. We have a first hour. Once we get them there, they're there. We have some kids, you know, I have one that flat out told me, I wouldn't come, but you've got me here for automotive. Now I'm here for the rest of the day. I'm doing my English and those type of things. So just having those real world partnerships with the community college. We do have kids that go out and do carpentry and cosmetology. We just see a lot more participation because of the automotive program on campus. And then continued meetings with the Kansas Learning Network. What can we do to increase those type of things? I have quarter school on here. The biggest thing, and quarter school is just a piece of what we do, and it's very similar to semester school. Garden City High School, if a student has a 50% at the end of the quarter, then we 50% or above. So if they're between a 50 and a 59, we get their work. What can we do? We get with their teacher. What can you do? What can we get to get that grade to a sufficient passing grade? The teachers have to sign off on it. The kids have to come in after school and take care of those things. So having quarter school, but I think the biggest thing, and that slide's not on here, but just the culture. You know, I see kids wearing our gear around the hallways. The change of the school name, just the logo getting out there. We have a school mascot, so we went around Friday and gave out positive referrals with the school mascot. Just those type of things. Kids feel part of a community, part of the family now. It's not like, oh, you're at the alternative school, you're there because you made a bad decision or whatever. It's GC Achieve, we're part of something. It's your own community, your own school. So, you know, I tell people how many high schools are in our county. Everybody says Holcomb Garden City High School. And I'm like, well, don't forget about Achieve in the virtual. We graduated more kids than Holcomb did last year. So just having those conversations and changing the perception of changing the perception of that building of JDA and what's going on there as far as the culture. We added almost 70 years of teaching experience with replacement of some long-term subs and younger teachers. So you're only as good as your teachers, right? So having the right teachers in place will help our kids get graduated. So with that, I will let Kathleen take over here. Sit down.
Got it. Hello, I'm Kathleen Mormon. I'm the principal at the Virtual Academy. I'm also a part-time teacher. So Mr. Rude, you were talking about the fifth year cohort. I've included those numbers here because we graduate adults. Most of our kids come in credit deficient. And we also graduate a lot of fifth year cohorts. So my numbers are just that, they're numbers, they're not percentages on this chart. And it goes from 2018 to 22. And you'll see in 2020, our number kind of skyrocketed. That was during COVID. That summer, we had graduation in July. So a lot of kids were able to finish between May and July. So that's why that number really skyrocketed there. Last year, we had 72 graduates. This year, I don't anticipate as many because we graduated about 15 or 20 juniors last year. And our enrollment is down just a little this year. So as Lucas had said, when he was talking that the state right now, they have the virtual academy at about 85–86% graduation rate, but that was minus some kids that Mr. Nordby that I got from the high school and Lucas. So when I figured those kids out, we're sitting about 77%. So we're pretty proud of that number. We had 41 four-year cohorts graduate last year. We had 7 fifth-year cohorts, 15 juniors, 1 sophomore, and 10 adults. And we've had 13 graduates so far this year since July 1. Some interventions that we're doing. We have math tutoring 3 days a week. Mr. Sullivan's kind enough to let us borrow his math teacher 3 days a week for an hour and a half, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 3:45 to 5:15. That's made a big difference. We also, working with Mr. Johnson, we're able to get Tutor Me. We haven't started that yet. We'll push that out next week on the week of the 13th so that our students will be able to now have that one-on-one digital be able to digitally get into and talk with any tutor for any subject. We still foresee that there'll probably be math that they're reaching out for most, and we're hoping and praying that they use the program. Teacher contact is a big part of our job as a virtual, because we're in a virtual setting. So our teachers and myself, we're just on the phone nonstop all day long. We also make home visits. We had to go on a couple today. Required attendance. So one of the main interventions that we have, if a student is behind, if they're failing, if they're not logging their required hours, then we require them to attend until we can get them back on track and passing. And our WIG, we've been focusing very big on our WIG in the virtual academy. Ours is a little bit different than the rest of the district. Ours is workforce literacy because the majority of our students are going out into the workforce. We do have some going into colleges, actually not a pretty big number there too. But so we're hoping to get a work keys class added as a credit. And hopefully in January, if you guys vote on letting us have that, we'll get to offer that as a half credit. Questions?
Students that are in the virtual academy, do you have any trends as to what industries they're going into?
Like I said, most of them are going, a lot of them are going into the workforce. A lot of them are going into health, though, healthcare is a trend that I'm seeing. We also have, we work with the community college. We have several kids in the manicuring class. We don't have any in automotive yet, but we have some talking about it, and carpentry.
Yeah, I know this is just one of those unusual situations, but again, from a credit standpoint, for our 4-year cohort, if we have a student do something silly and they're suspended, let's say they're 3.5 years through their career and they're suspended. Well, normally we suspend for a year. So we just took a hit. Okay, thank you.
It depends. It depends on what the committee for the hearing decides to do, but oftentimes they'll see that the student's that close. And while they may be expelled from school, they may give them the option to finish through Kathleen's program.
And
You're 1 or 2 classes short. You have permission to take those classes, to be on campus for whatever you need for those classes, but you can still then get your diploma. You won't get it from Garden City High School or Achieve, but you'll get it from virtual.
And we get probably 95% of the expelled students come virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've handled it a lot of different ways and every set of details is different, but we might put them on they might be expelled, but then we put them on
probation.
Probation is the word I'm looking for.
So they have some pathways.
Yeah.
And so that probation, are they still can't touch campus or they can?
Just virtual, yeah. Yeah, still can't attend, they can't go to sporting events, can't go over to GC Achieve, and only with my permission and when I'm on site.
Okay, but you still have the provision there that if they fall behind, they need to be there in person.
No, not for them.
Oh, really?
They will have to call to do that.
Okay,
There are some that we make exceptions for, and they have to follow the rules to stay enrolled. So if they break that probation, then they get dropped and they have to serve the 186.
again, for those that are just did something dumb, but they're sorry, but we want them to graduate too.
I'm getting one tomorrow that just needs a half credit to graduate. That's
Okay.
expelled, yeah. So saving that graduation right there.
Yep.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you all so much. What a reason to be excited.
Yes.
So thank you for the numbers.
And we appreciate your support because a lot of these things we've mentioned as far as interventions and things that are positive and working towards us have come through this group. So
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Next up, coffee shop trip. I was hoping for samples tonight. Come visit.
Absolutely sugar-free also.
Doesn't fit with us very well.
Well, I wasn't exactly gonna do anything.
All right, so introduce myself. I'm Paul Lappin, the life skills teacher at the high school. I have a couple people with me. Carity Holguin, she's the teacher for students with visual impairments, mouthful. And Marissa Perez, she's one of the parents of our young ladies in the coffee shop, and that is Miss Catalina. So we have pretty much an all new board and new upper admin, so I thought it'd be a good chance to kind of give you a brief history of our program. How do I get this guy to go?
Oh, let's see, you're just have to do it, you mouse pad.
So we started our coffee shop in 2016, and it's our special education class where we work on employability, interpersonal, social, and daily living skills. It's been pretty successful for us. In 2018, we also started the peer leadership program where some of our high flying good kids in the school come in and work with our kids. And that has been an awesome thing for our kids. We've had at least 4 different high schools come and see what we do and how we do it because they want to emulate it. Even the ones 50 miles to the east are trying to copy us.
We're still better than them, no problem.
I wholly agree. And then our peer leader class, I just thought I'd put a note in here. That has led to 3 pairs that are working in our district right now and 3 other kids that are going to school for special education. So as I said, we've been pretty successful. We've been able to put about $68,000 back into the community. To people that have gone through hardships or grants, scholarships, and I can't quite read all that. Classroom activities and Florida trips. That doesn't include the 68. And then that number you see at the bottom there, $506,000. So I tabulated it today. This is not our gross in our account, but that is the amount of dollars we have taken in over the past 6 years. And the thing that's crazy to me to think about is $500,000. Okay, if you think of every dollar as an interaction between one of our kids and the normal staff or students, that's over 500,000 interactions between those kids that they wouldn't have had without that. And that number doesn't even include the friendships they've made through our peer leadership program. So what I'm asking, if you didn't know, last year we were fortunate enough to be able to take our kids down to Destin, Florida, and it's about the coolest trip in the world. And it's not so much about where you are, but seeing the things the kids are able to do and seeing them succeed. So, and my hope is that this is something we could make a yearly thing, to make some kind of trip for the kids, and then just save the big trips where we're going on a plane for every 3 years or so. So on these trips this year, it would be Mr. Ming, our Health and Trade Academy principal, myself, Charity, and then all the classroom pairs that are with a one-on-one kid. So currently that would be 8 adults, and I believe the number is at 17 students in the coffee shop right now. Our goal is for each kid to have a buddy that's kind of their travel partner, helps them look out for everything. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to throw this out there. This is not a vacation for us or anything like that. We are on from the moment the first kid's up to the last kid's in bed. It's a lot of fun, it is, but it is work. So my rationale, there's a lot of good things that come with this. It's a continuation of the life skills curriculum, the stuff we work on those kids with every day. It's a good motivator for a lot of our kids too. I've got one kid that just decides he's done working and we'll sit down. If we can hang this trip that, hey, you've got to earn going on this trip. It kind of motivates them. It's good for all of them. We try to kind of theme a lot of our classroom instruction around that trip so that it has a little more relevance to them. And independence, this is the big one to me. Our kids struggle with independence. We're used to having them in a school and they know how to navigate in the school where they're comfortable, they're familiar, but you get them out in the community where they're going different places where things are not familiar, they struggle. And I think a trip like this is their first time, a lot of them, their first time away from mom and dad. And it's a challenge, but I think Marissa can attest to this, that it's awesome to see your kid go out and be able to do that just like any other high school kid would. It also has increased our parent involvement significantly. The years we've done this trip, I have every parent at this meeting because every parent wants their kid to have this opportunity. And in a normal year, I don't get that. I probably have about 25% that continually check in with me. Then the other interesting thing that we've kind of found out on this trip as teachers, and I specifically had these kids for 4 years and about 6 hours a day. I think I know them pretty darn well. But when we get out in the world and see their nighttime routines and their medications and all these things, I only know about 50% of them. Going on a trip like this allows us to see what other needs they have and kind of come back and center our instruction around that. So we do take some of our peer leaders with us, and those kids are kind of hand-picked kids that we know we can trust, and they're awesome with the kids in my class. What else? So as I said earlier, every kid has a buddy. The first time we went on this trip, we had a great plan of every adult was in charge of 3 people, peer leader and 2 kids. Man, we hit airport security and got pulled 15 different directions. That was over real quick. So we kind of adjusted our plan. And this is very helpful for us, every kid to have their own buddy. They kind of help teach life skills and they model these things. Our kids look up to our peer leaders and they want to be like them and see the things they do and do that. So it has a lot more value for them when they're told to do something by the kids versus me. They're just like, oh, my teacher is old and grumpy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And
I quote you on that.
you can. I'm sure every kid I've had will agree with that. And our trips are for our life skills kids, but I think our peer leaders get just as much out of it. It's extremely valuable for them too. I think I shared with you guys a couple letters, and one of those was from one of our wrestlers. His mom wrote it, and she was just amazed at how much this program has brought the kid out of his shell. So it's been good for everybody involved in it. I threw in some possible educational activities. I don't know exactly what we would do. They have a Titanic museum, an aquarium, and a zoo. And these things are cool and the kids love them, but we could stay in a house and the kids would have an extremely educational trip just because we're working on those things that we have to do every day to live and survive. And then, so why Branson? So in order to find a house big enough for our 30 plus people, we have to go to kind of a touristy place. When we first started this, we talked about hotels, but we didn't save any money by doing hotels, and then actually experiencing it, you get a much more familial feeling where you kind of just get to hang out. And then we also get to actually do life skills. Like it wouldn't be very fun to try to cook a meal or clean the house in the hotel. And then our kids are also a lot better supervised in the house. Am I missing anything? No. Why do I keep doing that? So our current policy is for each group to be able to do an out-of-state trip every 3 to 4 years. I completely understand why that policy is there. However, the kids in my class do not get the same opportunities that a typical student does. Typical student can join band, choir, football, track, and get to go experience a lot of these things. And those just don't meet the needs of our students. I'll get to that in a little bit, I guess. And we do not ask for any school or community funding for it. And yeah, it's the kids' money. So I want the kids to be able to reap some benefit from it. And again, it's not a reward trip. It's an opportunity at the end of the year to practice skills they have learned throughout the year. And then I won't read all of these to you, but cooking, cleaning, medication management, sticking to a budget, those little things that are easy for your typical high school kid, they're good things that our kids need to work on. Anything else to add?
No, go ahead.
Okay, you tell me when you want to jump in. So a lot of these things are not applicable to the school environment. Bathroom needs is one. We found out pretty quick our first night in Florida that some of our kids had significant bathroom needs. We didn't know about it. And I've had these kids in school for years. So again, it kind of goes back to, we don't know them as well as we think we do. And it allows us to learn a lot more and how we can help that kid better. The other thing that's kind of interesting to see on these trips is without mom and dad around and they're in their normal routines of bedtime and stuff, suddenly if they want something or need something, they have to communicate it versus mom knowing, oh, we have a snack after dinner, or I need a glass of water to go to bed, or things like that. So we got a lot more talking from them and advocating. Just makes things a lot more. So we pay for everything. Funds are already raised. The only thing families are responsible for is extra spending money. And then we also cover the overtime for classified staff and if any subs are needed. And again, I would hope this is something we could look at doing yearly with our group somewhere. And then just keep the flying trips for every 3 years or so. Marissa, I'll let you do your part. You said her throat was closing up before.
I mean, I guess it was really hard. I don't know if I gave you my letter or not, but
Yes.
it was extremely hard for me to let her go. Not because I didn't want her to go, but just because I'm like, how is she gonna do it? You know, she's so used to having that home setting. And just with talking to him, he reassured me the bathroom needs, medication, everything like that. So that helped me tremendously. And with her going on that trip, I was able to FaceTime her. She was able to call me, everything went smooth on my end, I think. I mean, it was hard. It was a hard week, but he did really good on asking me a question about whatever. But with her going on that trip, I mean, if we go out of town or something, she knows what she needs to get. Instead of just sitting there watching me pack, she'll go grab her toothbrush. She'll go grab the extra things that she never did before. It's helped her tremendously, I think, in going different places and things like that. I mean, every so often she'll be like, Mom, Florida, or she'll see a plane go by, Florida. And just little things like that has helped her tremendously. And I think they should be able to go on more trips, not just every 3 to 4 years. I mean, we've tried extra activities and extra activities were not able to fit her needs. So had to pull her out. They couldn't meet her needs. And, she can't go, I mean, she's doing unified bowling. She's got to go with them. They've met her needs and it's been great. She loves it. But she can't go to if she was to join basketball, there's no basketball for them. She can't go travel with them. just like everybody else can, they get to go to different trips more often than they get to. So that's why I think it would be great for us to be able to let them go more often. So, I don't know, I mean, it's a great program. At first I was like, no, she is not going, I
You
was
guys
like,
should
no.
have seen the look on her face when I said that to her at the beginning of the year.
I was like, no, and that's where my mind was at. I was like, no. I was straight up, no, she's not gonna go. And, I mean, he showed me the, different slides and things like that and answered my questions, and I'm all for it now. I mean, I would urge every parent in the future to go, to let them go to any of these trips. So, yeah, it's been great.
Anything else?
I don't know what else I can add other than, last year I had the honor to go with them to Florida because I had a student that had visual impairments. And so Paul did ask me to go. I am huge about like, what's the purpose of something? Like, why are we doing this? Or what's going to be the benefit for the students? And I seriously, I don't want to cry because I do that all the time, but, it was just the best experience. Like, I've been teaching 19 years, best experience of my entire educational career. Students, peer leaders, like, it was just phenomenal. Everything about it, from leaving Garden City to even the planning part of it. The kids were just so excited about it. They knew that they had a part of it because they had been selling the stuff on the coffee carts. And the entire trip, the experiences, I know that like this year wouldn't be to the ocean, but watching those kids get into the ocean for the first time. I mean, some of the peer leaders had kind of gotten to the ocean before. And so that was just seeing that, it was like, just the best. We had other kids that we went on a dolphin tour, and one of the guys that was the crew leader knew sign, and we had a student that was deaf, and he signed every single song to that student. Every single kid, peer leader included, I think got something from that trip that they will hold for the rest of their lives. Me as a teacher, me as a mom, it was a wonderful experience. The purpose, independence, self-advocacy. I think I tried to take as many pictures as I possibly could because I was like, I don't want everybody to just think we're going down there to have fun. It was absolutely exhausting, but we did. Like, the kids were cooking dinner and making for sure that dishes were cleaned. Paul said it straight out. Me saying, hey guys, let's go clean up dinner. Went about this far. But then we had peer leaders go in there and they're like, come on, let's go. And of course, everybody got up and went in. So kind of found your place real quick about who was going to make who do what, but wonderful experience. I would never say a bad thing about it. So
One thing I would like to add is that, like he mentioned in the slide, it's not a vacation. Because yes, you do see those pictures of them on the beach, but nobody knows what it took to get them there. Did they have a breakdown, a meltdown? Did they have an accident? Did something happen? It took probably a lot just to get them there. Or even if they went and walked down the beach or just to get out of the airport setting. I mean, the pictures look great, but I can guarantee you they probably had some struggles along the way. So.
And I think that's all I got. Questions?
It's amazing what you guys do, and I think definitely something that needs to happen in the future.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, you're speaking to my heart because this is what I love to do. I'm gonna brag on Catalina a little bit. So I'm sure she doesn't remember, but I remember what it took to get her on a horse. And I also remember the joy and the fun we had when she got up there. So the work you guys put into it is great from that perspective. I know it's not easy, but it's worth it. So
It is, they're
thank you for that.
fun kids.
So I might be a little biased.
It's okay.
Well, I'm on board as well. I think there's just no better teacher than travel. For everybody and anybody. Get out of your comfort zone. For young people, for old people, it's just, there's just so many things that we learn when we go somewhere else. And I think for students and parents too, I probably could have added 20 things to your list of probably the things that you can get out of it, because I know anytime you're separated from your kids, right? It's what they call absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I think kids realize the things that their parents do for them that they probably don't know, they forget, they recognize those things. The same for the parents when you're away from your kids.
probably the things that you miss that you maybe don't take on a daily basis. So I think I love what you guys do. I'm actually pretty sad because I know you used to have the program at the college and it's not there, and that's where I'm at. And I'd love to see your smiling faces there. But
Well, you're welcome anytime over.
Okay, but I love what you do. I think that the interaction that the students, just the mainstream students or however they're referred to, I apologize, I don't know the proper language, but it's a benefit to everybody. There's just so much growth and learning. So I so appreciate that program at the college or not at the college, sorry, at the high school, and how much it's just grown over the years. So I don't know if we need to, because it's policy. So is there something
It isn't actual policy, it's practice, so you're welcome to support it and vote that you support the change in the practice, but leadership has spoken about it as well, and we are all supportive of a change.
I heard policy, so I wanted to double check.
Is there a need to act based on policy? And if there is, we should think in those terms, but if there isn't, we don't even need to act other than thumbs up.
There's no policy. It's just practice, it's kind of set up, so if you guys are supportive, then we'll let Paul move forward.
The only thing approval is out of state
Correct.
that comes from us. Right, I was confirming that we would have to. If they came to us with a trip,
I'm a little slow.
like we can support it, but if they came to us with a trip. it was out of state.
You
Yeah,
guys would have to approve.
that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, that we would have to approve. I feel like we're arguing.
No, I
the same
totally.
thing.
Sorry.
You're reading by.
I am.
Yes,
Because it's out of state.
yes.
Goodness.
So are you Branson trip you're planning for this year?
Yeah, I hope to.
But I personally am very supportive as well. I'm also very mindful of a lot of other conversations about trips and travel and budgets. This is very unique, obviously, source of funding particularly. So some of that stuff we'll continue to visit as we go forward as far as other programs. So I think we act on this without any concern for conflict with other programs or practices. So with that said, I would move that we support the trip that was presented.
Oh, did you want to have some input?
I just enjoyed your presentation. I 100% support you guys in this. I think it's great life skills. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I was curious if the block scheduling at the high school gives you guys opportunities to do day trips or more opportunity to get them out of the school, or
We did take one. We took our group or small part of our group over to Florence Wilson, and just one class, we gave them hot chocolate and Rice Krispie treats. I would like to do more. It's just, it's hard figuring out which classes do you pick, which group do you go to without leaving people out. My kids get pulled for several different related services at various times through the day, so it's tough finding a window that we could all go do something. But I would like to do more. If anybody wants to invite us somewhere, let me know and we'll try to work it out.
appreciate y'all's hard work, and no, it ain't easy. I appreciate y'all.
I don't want to disregard Mark's motion. I'm not sure that we need to have a vote on anything, do we? Just our consensus, and then if they come to us with the specific details of the trip, then we would approve.
I thought we were just informed we needed to act.
It depends. If he's going to Branson, then you probably need to approve the trip to Branson. If he's going somewhere else, you probably need to wait.
That's my plan for now. We run with this plan for this year and see what next year brings us.
So my motion is according to that report.
Okay.
To Branson.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passed.
Easy. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll be out for coffee. A new business. I was confusing myself.
I was like, why didn't I put off?
How y'all doing this evening? Okay, so I've come with a little, and I know this is the first reading on the long-term substitute teacher kind of agreement here. Let me kind of tell you where this kind of started from to begin with. When I first got here, we met with all the substitutes. I gave out a little survey to say, okay, so you're a long-term sub for the district. What's keeping you from becoming a teacher? And so I had them do a survey, kind of put some things on there. Basically, 54% of them said that they really would like health insurance. 51% said they would like pay leave. 74% they would want sick leave. And then the big one, one of the big ones was tuition assistance. Was one of the reasons too why they hadn't taken that step forward to become long-term subs, or excuse me, teachers. So taking that information, basically we're still looking for, as y'all know, we're still looking for teachers. I told the administrative staff and all of our principals that when I look at the 52 plus long-term subs that we have, I'm very, very grateful for them and the job they do for the district, but I still look at those as vacancies. And so we're hitting it hard. I've been to at least 3, maybe 4 job fairs, and I know I sent different principals out. And so my goal is to hopefully have about 20 teachers to present to y'all for next school year. I mean, excuse me, for the spring. So we're trying to hit those December grads. But anyway, getting back to this long-term substitute agreement, I do have some paraprofessionals that basically have the hours and so forth and would look at being long-term subs. That our challenge is that they lose healthcare because our district doesn't provide healthcare that direction. So I worked with our attorney to try to come up with some type of agreement that we can do, that the board could agree to as well, that we could work as a benefit to these folks where they could actually become long-term subs and kind of step away a little bit from the para position. So if you look at this agreement, it basically, of course, it has some educational requirements. They have to have the 60 hours, but all of our long-term subs have to have the 60 hours. We get into a little bit of because part of the not providing the benefits is the financial deal. I mean, you're looking at I've talked to Colleen about just the finances as far as like, what if we put everybody with the benefits and pay that and so forth? Well, we pay $770 per month for all of our employees. And so if we're adding those other ones, I mean, that's going to be a pretty good little kick there for our budget. And we haven't really budgeted for that. So I got to be careful with what we kind of do mid-year type of deal. But I work with Colleen, work with Jessica to come up with this. So a minimum of 60 hours. They have to be enrolled at this time in 9 college credit hours. So in other words, they need to be working towards that final degree there to become a teacher. And then they have to complete this within 2 years. Okay. So if they meet those educational requirements, the district is willing to go ahead and pay them the $770 or pay for their health insurance for the $770. We also put a little caveat in there because we wanted to work with some of our people that have been committed to the district. So part of the caveat is that they had to be employed with the district for 2 years prior to this. Again, we're just trying to work with our parents, trying to work with the people that have been here, been dedicated to us, and then try to help them along as well. And then the last thing is, well, 2 more things. The second to the last thing is that if they do agree to this agreement with us, they're going to stay with us 2 years after they complete the program. So they graduate, they'll be with us 2 full years. And then we did have a little caveat in here that if they, for some reason, something happens and they don't complete those 2 years, and they would have to reimburse the district $6,000, which is basically the cost of the health insurance for the for the 2 years, something like that. Anyway,
That's
maybe that might be the right thing. I think it was because of the negotiated agreement with the 4,000, we came up with the $6,000. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, that was a little bit of my question right there.
Yeah, because I was doing it in my head. I was a math teacher. I'm like, that does not compute.
What if they enroll in 8 hours?
In 8 hours?
No, I'm just saying, okay, one of the requirements is that they're enrolled, taking
Mhm.
9 hours worth of. So again, it's just a threshold, so. if
It is, I mean, and this is first reading and none of this is in stone. So I mean, I even debated about having 6 hours, which is, kind of a part-time. But our bottom line is we need to show progress because we don't want this to, part of our conversations with the leadership team and everything is that we do have some permanent subs that have been doing this for years. I didn't know that, hey, you've been permanent sub for 5 years. We don't want that. We want them to work towards getting their
program.
well, yeah, under this, if we're gonna throw some extra, skin in the game and it's just to kind of help our people too, because like I said, of that survey, 54% said, hey, and so we want to open this up. I have 2 individuals right now that are our paras that want to do this and want to help us out and become long-term, subs and so forth like that. But we're gonna also have a meeting with, if y'all agree to do this, I have a meeting with all the long-term subs to throw out this and let them know that this is available, but there are certain requirements that you would have to meet for you to be able to sign this. But that's kind of where I'm at, first reading, and like I said, if y'all think that, hey, 9 hours, let's go 6. I mean, I'm all for it. We're just trying to get a little incentive out there for our long-term subs and help our folks.
Do you kind of have an estimate, and I know it's total estimate on the impact of the budget? I mean, have we thought about the numbers and the costs?
That would agree to do this?
Yes.
Well, we have 50.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
450,000.
450,000
All long-term subs.
if they all chose to do this. Okay.
But that's just straight cost to the district for insurance. And then part of that is an estimate on what those claims could also be a lot higher, which is then a direct impact to the school district since we're self-funded. So approximately
That's annual,
450.
year.
Yes.
And that's if all of them,
The
but
benefits.
yeah, but not all of them would be eligible. But anyway, yeah, that's good. Thank you.
I'd be interested in knowing, the current programs that we have with the Grow Your Own programs. Because if you take your long-term subs, and that means they have at least 60 college credit hours. And then you allow them to do this program, but you want them to complete it in 2 years.
Right.
That's 30 hours per year. So that's either 15 per semester or doing it through the
They
summer.
have to do it during summer.
So I would be curious to see, or to know some of those teachers that have gone through that. Is that realistic to have a full-time job, potentially a family, and then also complete that many hours in 2 years? I'm just asking with the current programs if it's something that how they do that. Because that's a lot.
I agree with you. Now, I think some hours will have to be taken during the summer and so forth. And like I said, this is strictly a first reading. If y'all think, you know what, let's give them 3 years to complete this or whatever. I mean, this is y'all's deal. I mean, we're just trying to come up with some parameters to maybe set there to try to help our folks. Again, as a leadership team, we want to come up with some stuff that would expedite the process because we're looking for teachers. We want folks to really be committed. If the district's gonna pay $450,000 for this, we want it to be beneficial to the district and us getting teachers out of it.
Could you send us the written copy of that?
I sure can. Is it not in your?
I didn't
It
think
should-
it in there. I didn't see it.
It's not in there.
Okay. Okay. I will make sure I shoot that to you. I'm sorry for
This is just to confirm, this is just for eras to become long-term subs.
Well, now if they were long-term sub with us remember, they have to be an employee of the district for at least 2 years. I mean, that was part of the stipulation because we wanted to help those folks that have been with our district But we also wanted to provide them some type of benefit that they wanted. And so
Dr. Alcord, that's just long-term subs that you're referring.
that's correct.
So we definitely have a separate, Randy, to your, on the paras, which 5 universities are working, and Garden City Community College is working with the paras to help. If they do their FAFSA, that they're saying they can get them started, because they're probably not to 60 hours yet.
Correct.
That'll become clear, I think, when we get the text in front of us.
Yeah, and I'm sorry again, I apologize for that.
I was confused too, so it's just long-term subs.
Yeah, with 60 hours, minimum 60 hours. But we are trying to, Dr. Dominguez probably shared with y'all that we had that big meeting with all of our paras. I mean, we had over 200 and something paras there, but we brought in the 5 universities and had them talk to them about kind of growing. I mean, we need to grow our own. You're absolutely right. And so they're already living here in Garden City. We need to help them out any way we can. I do want to have another meeting with our paras, hopefully at the end of December or the beginning of January, where we bring in Garden City. And I visited with Dr. Rude the other day about maybe doing something like that to let us know exactly what the college can provide our employees and working with them to provide classes or whatever that maybe we can do a cohort model. So I visited with him just the other day. I also visited with him about housing. I've told my principals I'm doing things in HR that I've never done before, just thinking outside the box and trying to get people here to Garden City and helping things out. So anyway, so those conversations are being had, and I'll go one step further. I'm working with finance too, to do a salary study with our paras and with our classified folks. They had one done here about, I guess in 2018. The challenge with that one though, is it basically compared us with other school districts. Well, with our classified folks, we're not really, dealing with the other school districts. We're dealing with McDonald's and Tyson. And of course, when you throw Tyson in the mix, we lose when it comes to the hourly rate immediately. But I mean, we're dealing with some of those other entities as far as trying to get our classified staff. So that's something else that we're trying to work on to increase those. And we did, during that meeting that I had when I brought in the colleges, I provided them this same survey. I haven't had time to look through the survey and see exactly what they would want on their needs as far as what keeps them with the district or what would be beneficial for them. But I need to go through that surveys too. But we surveyed them as well. We're just trying to get and help our people out as much as we can.
Well, I think you're alluding to partnership with the college, community college, on trying to meet our staff needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know there's a lot of work behind the scenes on that. Yeah, and so it'd be good. I look forward to hearing what you discover on the salary evaluation for paras, because that's what we keep hearing is we need more paras, we need more paras. And I think you, from what I hear, you've got all the other I's dotted and T's crossed as far as people interested in working for the district, and that your office responding immediately. The door is open. We don't want to be knocking on a door. We want them to come in and talk about being a part of the team. So that's great. But if we just haven't been able to offer the salary, that's not salary, but I mean the pay, the compensation that's needed, then I'm glad you're looking into it. Look forward to that. And I look forward to the language on this.
All right. Okay. Keep rubbing it in. I should put that in there.
I just want to make sure I understand the facts right. You said that the paras currently are eligible to receive health insurance through the district.
Yes. All of our paras currently get. The
long-term subs are not.
The long-term subs are not. That's correct.
Apply to paras or long-term subs currently.
Right. Paras already have it if they choose, but long-term subs were not eligible for health insurance with our district right now, as of right now.
And you're saying this is focused on, because if you have somebody who's a para currently.
Yeah, that wants to go to be
losing health insurance, prohibit the thing.
That's what's keeping.
So here's a challenge. Okay, so our paras get paid like $11 an hour. something like that. Well, our long-term subs, we pay them $200 a day. So there is an increase in pay, but that increase in pay is, I mean, when you include your health insurance, there's not that big of an increase in pay once you drop off your health insurance as well. And that's why a lot of our pairs are doing what they're doing because of the health insurance. So if we have them where we can actually benefit them, that's what we want to do.
For other clarification to the compensation study that we're looking at is for classified and certified staff, not just classified staff.
Correct.
So we're looking at district whole, wanting to look at benefits comparison across the board. So with private and public entities, so that we really look at, are we competitive within our market? And also, are we competitive with other school districts that are similar size? But also looking at our benefits package. Does our benefits package match what else is out there? Is it better? Is it worse? And then kind of evaluating that. Because there's such a large expense that comes with our benefits package as well. So when we're looking at it, are we looking at compensation increases? Are we looking at benefits increases? And that's just kind of the balance of all that money comes out of the same place. So we have to figure out what we're gonna do.
And I've been telling her, yes. We're looking at both, even though.
But this is different from the 18 study because you're including the private sector.
Correct.
Well, it's updating.
That's correct. Yes.
Obviously.
There's several companies that we're reaching out to try to evaluate that.
No, all I was gonna say is was that an RFP that went out and then you're just collecting available data?
Yep, very beginning stages of starting to collect that data so that we could move forward potentially early next year.
Can you reiterate the piece that you said that you work with an attorney? Why did you need to?
Well, the whole I mean, this is a contract agreement
Okay.
with the individual, and so that's out of my wheelhouse.
I see.
And so, yeah, so the whole second page is all kinds of thousand ifs and all that kind of good stuff that attorneys throw in there with, voluntary agreement, enforced agreement, withholding fees, I mean, compliances and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, appreciate y'all.
Next hot topic of the night.
This will just be really, I'm just gathering information from you guys. We started the process of now starting to look at the school calendar for the 23-24 school year. Kind of interesting and crazy to think it's already, almost mid-November of 22. So years going by pretty fast. Your representatives on the calendar committee for the board are Andy and John. So we had our first meeting last week to just kind of get orientated to what the contractual regulations are for the calendar. And we want to get your guys' input on what some are the board's non-negotiables. What do you want to see in the calendar? We'll take those notes along with the surveys that we sent out to staff and to parents last week. And then we'll start putting that data together to start proposing a calendar with, again, the goal of coming in February or earlier for an approval of a school calendar for the 23-24 school year. Just as a reminder, we're at 178 and a half teacher contract days. And so we're working under that current status within our negotiated agreement from this past year. So I'm just really asking for feedback from you guys on what you want to see in the 23-24 calendar as we get ready to progress that piece. So really just looking for feedback from you.
Either of our committee members want to speak first? Or you don't have to. You guys have put in the time so far.
Yeah, I was unable to make the first meeting. I had a prior commitment, so I've just read through the notes that they sent me. There seems to be, we were at the high school and spoke with several of the teachers, and the 20 minutes a day adds quite a bit of time and complexity to their day. So we need to take that into consideration when we look through the calendar stuff. So, but I do hear from the community and from the parents also that, they appreciated the week shorter school year. So we have to find a balance in between that somewhat.
Okay. Some notes I had were, first of all, I thought it was really good discussion in that meeting. Folks from all
elementary, middle school, high school, all offered up a lot of really good feedback. So that's really good that it was a really engaging group of folks. I think what I saw is that there's definitely things that have one impact at the high school and a totally different impact at the grade school. You know, to the one of the notes that I had was that a lot of the folks representing elementary schools thought that the longer day was really hard on the little kids. Was a comment that I had from that. And then just another note was there was a desire to see a 2-year schedule calendar be set in lieu of every year, a separate calendar. So just couple notes I made from that first meeting.
For our high school staff meeting, I think the long day can be hard on the professional kids too. So.
Yeah, I think the struggle is real in that longer day. And it, from what I've been hearing, is it affects more than just the staff or the student at that school. You know, it was brought to my attention, like if some of these, you know, the high school kids are the ride for their younger siblings, well, with the different day and the start times and the longer day, there's some real struggles getting, you know, to school and the other kids to school and things that I never really thought about that, so.
Yeah, I think the crux that we're kind of in with that is the length of the day and the length of the contracts in negotiations. And so I think you guys will start that process probably before too long of getting that role going. Right now, the calendar committee, we're charged with just putting together a calendar based on the 178.5 days. And so thinking about if we're staying with 178.5, or if it goes to a different length, then we can make adjustments as needed after negotiations may be done. But at this point in time, are there some certain things like you guys may want to see? Is there a certain time frame where you like to start school? Is there a certain time frame where you'd like to see it end? Is there certain things around either spring break, Christmas break, holidays? Are there some things around that within that the board would really like to make as a priority?
That we've gotten from every survey probably that we've ever given is not to have an early start date. So
Okay.
anywhere from mid-August, I believe, probably, and later, I think is better because it was feeling like we were starting this school year earlier and earlier every year. And that was a pretty consistent comment. The other thing I would say is, and I brought this up before, and I realize that parent-teacher conferences are part of negotiations as well, that if that's not something that we can work on in negotiations, maybe even just the setup of how they are done, because I think, and I feel like what beat the dead horse? I don't know why I try to say those things. Anyway, we've been doing it the same way for 30 years, and with technology and with other things, I don't really feel like that it's the best way to do that. And that was a comment that we had with the meeting with principals too. And then the other thing is just consistent with what's been heard. And I don't know exactly how that would be. And it would be really good to get input from those different levels, is that I don't think that they always have to be exactly the same in terms of how we lay it out. Now, I don't want it so drastically different that it's hard for families. I mean, you have kids in multiple buildings, so that's not what I'm suggesting. But maybe it is things like conferences and different things where there's what meets the needs of those lower level versus what meets the needs of the higher classes. I think if we get those voices together, they could probably come up with a very a good compromise that would work for everybody. So those are probably some consistent themes that I've heard just over the 6 years.
A lot of feedback, and I'll just say too, if I may, that I think something similar to what we started with this last year, as far as starting from there and working, because it seemed to be an improvement.
Okay.
And you've had, or you're working on or have surveys?
So we send surveys out. I lose track of which day, but I know that we got them out to staff and then to parents, and that we communicated via social media to go fill it out. I mean, I know I filled it out. It took me about 6 minutes to fill out. I think it's 7 or 8 questions. There's a new question that's in the survey is about asking about the importance of having a start date at like the same date each year. And so almost kind of setting that as a precedent. It wouldn't necessarily be something, you know, you would take to negotiations or anything like that, but it'd be setting a precedent of, we always start on the third Wednesday of August. And so everyone can prepare every year to say the third Wednesday is our first date, and then we just work out the contract length after that. I think that was just a suggestion made. So we asked that question on the survey, thought that was very important, because then parents, communities, teachers alike could always plan on knowing when school's going to start. It may vary the end based on when we have breaks such as vacation, Christmas break, spring break, those things, the end may vary. But if there's a consistent knowing when the start date is, that may help with beginning of the year. Also preparing for paying for the start of school and enrollment fees and just those costs associated with that as well.
And I liked how you stated it like the third Wednesday, because that is a comment, like a full week of school, the first week is probably not.
Okay.
That's
From what I've heard, I believe it's very hard on the students to have a full week, the very first week of school, so.
And that's where high school and elementary contradict a little bit.
Maybe so.
Wednesday was kind of the happy medium. Because a full week is a long time for the littles. I've also heard that if we start on Thursday, that there's the high school, they just don't show up, maybe. So it seems like Wednesday was maybe the happy medium, at least.
Is there anything around some of the breaks in terms of like Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, or kind of spring break that you guys would like to have kind of as a some non-negotiables or some things that you guys like from the board perspective to really like to have on there?
One of the questions in your survey was getting out before Memorial Day or after Memorial Day, so I hope that we can get out before Memorial Day.
And I'm curious to hear how this survey results were with Thanksgiving. Me personally, we don't travel far, so I'm okay with the shorter Thanksgiving break in order to start later in August. But that's just me personally. Everybody kind of has a different perspective on that. So I'd lean more to what the majority feels that way, but
For Thanksgiving?
yeah.
Okay.
Would like to get a little input or have some input from Dr. Alporta about shortening the breaks and how that's affecting our teacher recruitment, particularly with out-of-state teachers and that sort of thing. Just
Okay.
and if we go, because I believe we have a shorter Christmas break now than we have in years past. And is that having any negative impact on our ability to recruit teachers from out of state?
I really haven't even asked them about that question. I think one of the things that we tend to talk about more is basically, starting salaries and then any benefits. And then a lot of this generation wants professional development and growth. They really, most of the questions I always get answered, will you give me a mentor? How are you going to help me be successful in my career? So those are some things that this generation is really looking for.
If you could maybe just look into that a little bit,
Sure.
give us a little feedback on that element of it.
Okay.
Maybe, and I don't know what percentage of returns or how many people you've gotten surveys from, but sometimes with social media, it tends to get buried. So if we don't have a good representation, I'm always concerned by that. So it might be, in our benefit to send it out or repost it just so we get, more eyes on it. I went and looked up for it after our Monday meeting, so that way I could find it and fill it out. But, there's so much social media, it gets buried really fast.
And that's probably a good point. I'll put that as a note to talk with Rebecca about making sure we get it. Rebecca Parton, who's kind of takes care of a lot of the details for us to get it back out. I think it closes either the 10th or the 11th. Because then we're going to take a look at the data at our next calendar committee on the 14th. So a week from tonight, we'll start looking at that data. So very good point. We'll get that blasted again in the next 24 hours.
Do any of the schools that,
No, you could.
send out like weekly, I know like Cage sends out weekly email newsletters. Do they add those links to any of theirs or?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Or is there encourage them to do that? I don't know.
I think that would be.
The elementaries do that if they have weekly stuff they send out.
We will communicate that.
Might be another way.
And did the staff get the exact same survey that was sent out to?
I think there was one or two questions that was slightly different, but 90% of the questions were exactly the same.
So I would just maybe say the same thing with staff, because whenever I see that there's not a lot of staff participation, that always concerns me.
Okay.
Speak now and forever hold your peace.
Right.
What was your initial feedback? I mean, as far as spring break lined up with the community college?
I think that's just become a little bit of a universal, just accepted practice. As we were kind of preparing, as you know, Easter next year in the 24 year is on March 31st. And so that's back to that couple years ago when Easter was that March 28th. A lot of people back their spring break up to that time. That really doesn't work well for us because it puts it all the way at the end. And the way the community college, I think also, you know, part of an issue with us starting later this year is that the community college actually started on Monday, the 15th, and we didn't start till Wednesday, the 17th this year. So we actually had high school kids, and our dual enrollment kids were having to go to school before high school even started. So I think communicating with the college was one thing that we did talk about at our meeting last week, and making sure that we get some communication going with them on their start dates to help align a little bit better. That may just be a side effect of having dual enrollment courses, but I did think there was a pretty common feel of matching up spring breaks with the college.
For a 3-year,
Say that again.
they set a 2 or 3 year calendar.
I don't know. I need to ask with Mr. Terpstra.
Like that's what they did, but.
Mr. Terpstra is our liaison with the college, so I'll work with him. The only other thing I would just kind of add is in looking at just if we had a very similar calendar to this year, potential start date on August 16th, if we hit our 178.5 days with very similar leave with breaks as we did this year, it would be May 16th would be the potential half-day workday for teachers on the May 16th. So that would be a very similar calendar. I'm just giving you a time frame if we were just matching up for basically copying and pasting. And that's still having the same amount of professional development days that we did this year, and then also having the Friday and Monday in and around Easter as no school days and no work days for staff as we have it this year. So just for a frame of reference for you. Okay. Anything else that you guys would like to add for the calendar? If not, John, Andy, and I in the group will get started on that. And hopefully we have pretty good options for you in the next couple of months.
Good luck.
And thank you.
Video board discussion.
Board, as they're waiting for Drew to get set up and get going, I went ahead and ran off real quick and ran you a copy of that long-term agreement that we have. And so I was hoping that my highlighted spots would come out when I printed it off, and I don't think they came out as dark as I would like them to. But anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or talk to Dr. Benitez about any changes you might want to make. You know, I know we talked about the maybe 9 hours down to 6 hours and maybe 2 years to 3 years or something like that. I mean, but as y'all looking through that, and y'all can see what I meant by when visiting with the lawyers with that second page is a lot of lawyer talk there.
It has a place too, so.
It does. It keeps us out of trouble, that's for sure.
You're welcome.
So, first off, thank you for letting me come talk to you guys tonight. Back when I took over the job of the athletic director back in 2018, one of my first calls was to Bill Weatherly. Bill Weatherly was the athletic director here for about 15 years, 11, 12, 15 years. Prior to Jared Stoppel, prior to Martin Segovia, it was Bill Weatherly. And then prior to that, it was Dave Meadows. And one of the big questions I asked him, it was actually him, me, and Dr. Carlin in the initial meeting. And the big thing I asked him was, what is the expectation of Garden City athletics and activities? And the big thing that they preached was, we want Garden City athletics and activities to give our students everything that other 6A schools have. The opportunities that they have, so that's why we go and play a lot of games in Kansas City. We go and play a lot of games in Wichita. We go out to Denver and Colorado Springs and all over the place. But it's also in dealing with facilities. So back in 2009, we actually got our first video board. At the time, it was Shelby McNutt. He was the director of BBS at the time. Himself and Mr. Weatherly, they worked together, and down at Old Memorial Stadium, it's still the same video board that they have to this day down there. They raised the money and we erected our first video board in Garden City. That video board, we think, is the first, at the time, they thought it was the very first high school video board in the state of Kansas back in 2009. Some of the people there eventually go on. The guy on the far left is back in town, and when he came back to town, he was the voice of the Buffaloes. That's C.D. DeSalvo there on the far left. So why did we get a video board to begin with? A video board has nothing to do with winning and losing games. It has nothing to do with whether we win a football game 38-6 or whether we win a basketball game 98-30. Has nothing to do with any of that. What it has to do with is the opportunities in the classroom and the opportunities for our community. We've got a whole list of things that's in your guys' packets of opportunities that our students get to do with a video board through the BBS class that we have created in conjunction with the video. It's things like play-by-play commentation, video editing, audio editing, graphic design, video design, video production. All of those things are connected to the production of a in-game live activity event on a video board, whether it be at a stadium or inside a gym. So when we first started doing this back in 2009, the very first time out, they had 193 replay videos of live video back in 2009. So Mr. McNutt did a great job. After Mr. McNutt, Troy Bernal took over, and we've continued to have a video board ever since for the production of these videos in that classroom. The problem that we have, so we have the old video board at the old school that doesn't really work. We have the video board at the new school that's 11 years old. And as you can see, what we're starting to get, we're getting panels that are going out that have gone bad. And we also have a computer system that operates that's running off Windows XP. So we can't really fix the video board anymore. It's past its lifespan. It's past its due date. We can go and replace the panels. That's going to cost us money to go and replace all those panels. The problem after that is we still don't have an operating system. On the very first night, they did 192 instant replays. We cannot do one instant replay anymore because the computer operating system is too old to interface with any new cameras or any new computer. So it's just like anything, like any computer that you have, if you have a computer that's 11 years old, it's probably obsolete. And that's where we're at with the video board. What I'm asking of you guys, what I would like to do in conjunction with Mr. Norby in the high school, we would like to replace the video board on the field. When we replace the video board on the field, we'd also like to add a video board to the gym. The gym is a place that gets a lot of people in. We have graduations, we have the Rocky Weldon, we have basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments. Pretty much anything that we do in the school, pep rallies, all that stuff, we go to the gym to do those things. When we do this project, we're not going to ask for you guys to pay for any of it. It's all going to be privately funded. So all the money will come from private sponsorships through advertisement. So the district will not be on the hook for any of the money. The only thing that we're asking is to be able to finance it through you guys. After talking to Colleen, we could go and finance it through a bank. The problem with financing it through a bank right now, interest rates are going to be around 7%. So we have money, and speaking with Colleen, we have the money to be able to finance it through the school. And what would end up happening is the school would get paid back through the advertising sponsors. The plan would be go out, get the 4 initial anchor sponsors, or 4 major sponsors. After we get our 4 major sponsors, I come to you guys, present the 4 anchor sponsors with contracts, have you guys sign the contracts, and then that basically secures us the ability to purchase the board. Once we purchase the board, it's going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get the board itself. So that will give us time to get it purchased in the queue to be put up. And then in the meantime, I would go and get the remainder of the sponsors, but those 4 sponsors would be able to pay for the board itself.
Both boards or just the one?
Both boards, sorry. The board outside, these are just renderings. It's not necessarily what it would look like. We would do one out at the football field. You can see where the sponsorships would go. These advertising sponsors would go along the top on the front of the board. And then on the back side of the board, we would also have sponsorships. We'd have our 4 anchor sponsors and then our 6 founding sponsors along the back side of the board. And then in the gym, we would have our 4 anchor sponsors, 2 on each side of the board. Our goal would be, obviously, we would have the ability to raise up to $1.7 million if we sold every single anchor spot. I think we can probably do that. I know that we can sell every anchor spot if you guys allowed me in the next week, probably. So the support from our community is definitely there to do this, to do a project like this. Again, none of this is going to end up being any district funds that goes towards the video board itself. It will all be private funds through advertisements on the actual board itself, or through the live stream, or anything dealing with the board. The advertisement would be inside of that board. There's not a whole lot of other stuff to it. I know you guys probably have a lot of questions more than anything. We've been talking about this for a while. What I would like as a next step is basically your guys' permission to go and be able to offer contracts to businesses in order to get this project started. That does not mean we're purchasing a board. All that means is that I go out, offer the contracts, and I'm able to come back to you guys with our 4 anchor sponsors and show you that we have the ability to raise the money. Questions from you guys?
That was going to be my first question is, and are we able to sell those sponsorships? So definitely I would like to see that before we move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good business. I mean, interest is high. If we can do it, it's just, I agree with John. That's the thing is, do we have the ability to sell those sponsorships? And I think that's a plus if we do, so.
Yep.
Well, there's a time value of money there that as a banker, we're going to probably miss out on some investment revenue, but it's small, right?
I mean, we're not currently investing in CDs, but I was going to take on that endeavor this upcoming calendar year. The purchase price would essentially come from our capital outlay cash balances. We do try to keep a little bit of some funding there in case that, funding any of our large projects and overall maintenance for the district.
So assuming we use that on hand cash, then we're really not missing out on anything. The other question I had was, when we had the first video board at the new high school, and we had a little bit of complaint from the community and the way we did it. And that's just, you could chalk that up to learning, I think.
Yeah.
But some of the advertising was loud and during the timeouts. And, you know, some of the community really would rather see things about the high school and the great things happening in our district rather than get your tooth drilled here. And so as long as we are, you know, learning from the past and careful in how we advertise, I think it's a good business model for the community and for us.
Yeah, and on the anchor partnerships and the founding partnerships, you can kind of go down there and see exactly what each partner would get. But that is one thing that I was really cognizant of, and when we developed this is, because you and I talked a little bit, is making sure that it's just not one ad after another ad after another ad. You know, finding a way to discreetly tie those advertisements into the student athlete of the month or the teacher of the month or it's so-and-so first down, kind of more like what you would see at a K-State game or a Chiefs game than what we used to do, where it was just one ad after another commercial after another commercial and kind of hitting people over the head with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Size wise, can you kind of comparison, is it bigger than what we have now?
It just depends. I mean, honestly, it depends on the amount of money available. So my goal is to be in the $850,000 range. With $850,000, we can go pretty significant out on the football field, something similar to what the junior college has, and then go. I mean, you can kind of see the rendering of the gym. I believe that's a 23-foot board in the gym and a 41-foot board on the football field. 17. I think it's 17 by 23. And they're really odd, our current ones are really odd shape, and that's part of the problem with all the video rendering, is because it was designed for standard definition, the old TV that you made your kid go change the channel on. That's what it was designed for. So we have a hard time rendering all of our video into that old standard definition, is where the issue is with putting video on there.
What do we do with the old board? Do you know?
Well, you know, we've talked about if we could move it. I don't know that if we could move it is a possibility. And the only reason I say that is because of this picture here. No. Is there a way to get that back? I just don't know if we could move it as an option with all these panels starting to go out. We, at the end of the football season, we had to stop shutting it off. So we had a soccer game followed up by a football game a couple days later. And what was happening is we'd shut it off and turn it back on, and these panels wouldn't come on. So the second that we got it to turn on with those panels on, we just left it on until the game on Friday night, from Thursday to Friday, instead of shutting it off overnight.
This is one of the questions I asked Drew when we were talking about it, was repurposing the one that we have to, you know, to a KH or something like that to upgrade one of our other facilities. And I think we run into the same problem. One, moving it can create an issue, but two, we run into the same problem as the operating system is the issue.
Yeah.
We can replace the panels if the operating system will work. We can't operate on XP. You know?
And we could continue, you know, if we did replace the panels, we could do something like replace the panels. It's going to cost a decent amount of money, but it's not hundreds of thousands. It's maybe 10,000 to replace some of those panels, and then the cost to move it. You could use it kind of like we're using it now, where it's just a billboard. Essentially, that's all it's become for us, is the next thing up. Here's the forecast for today. Here's the game day graphic. Here's, you know, that's basically what it's become for us, as a static billboard rather than a video board, because we're not able to put that live video on.
This is a sound system included.
Yeah, so it is a new sound system. Depending on what we go with and who we go with, if we were to go back with Daktronics, that's one option. If we're to go back with them, them and I have gone round and round about our current sound system.
That was supposed to be state of the art, the greatest thing ever. And there hasn't been a year that's gone by that we haven't had Daktronics out here working on our sound system. Daktronics, there's some major vendors that do this. You have Daktronics, they're kind of what most people go with. You have Score Vision, that's kind of the new up and comer. You're seeing them up in Nebraska a lot, out in Colorado. Valor Christian just put up a new Score Vision. They're starting to get into some of the college market, but Daktronics really has a stranglehold on everything. The problem with Daktronics, and kind of getting in the mud a little bit, the problem with Daktronics is they're so big. Even if we spend 800,000 on a video board, the customer service is not good. And I've told them that 150 times. The sound system we get worked on twice a year. I mean, it just has never worked right. And so they've assured me if we went with them, if they were the ones, they would come in and do a significant discount on a new sound system. If we don't go with them, a sound system would be included in.
But even though this is gonna be, it'll be reimbursed through sponsorships, this would still be procured through public bid process. You'd still take bids and bring bids to the board.
Yeah.
Approval and all that.
The only one that wouldn't have to be that is Daktronics because they are under Greenbush. But I would anticipate that we would want to do a bid process on this. I mean, it just with this much money involved, it would just make sense.
How much money do we have in capital outlay right now?
Off the top of my head, we for sure have 6.5 million of cash balances. By the end of the year, we're projected to be higher than that, but 6.5 for sure.
If I read this correctly, basically the first 5 years will basically pay for the project.
That'd be my hope. Yeah.
And then there's an additional 5 years with possibly these sponsorships that could bring in a significant amount more money that could be beneficial to our students.
Yeah. So the first 5 years, my hope would be in the first 5 years, we pay off the project. We would be able to raise up to 850,000 in the first 5 years. The second 5 years, we sit down and we decide what do we want to do with the up to. And the reason why, in all honesty, the reason why we're only doing 5-year contracts, we've done some 10-year contracts. We've done a 15-year contract, which was not smart. But the value of advertising right now is, it's hard for these businesses to find places to put their marketing money. The old way of advertising has kind of gone away. People don't watch TV anymore. People aren't picking up the newspaper anymore. People aren't really listening to the traditional radio anymore. So we do have a very valuable product sitting out there on the highway. A, because of location. B, because we get over 35,000 visitors a year to the gym and the football field combined. And then C, where it's located. Everybody drives around the loop. They're going to see the video board, the backside of that video board. It was actually one of our guys that currently sponsored that requested us to put it on. He said, Drew, the value is on the backside of the board, not the front side of the board. Like I wanted 2,000 people a day looking at my sign on the backside of the board. So we did a 5-year contract, and the reason why we're going for a 5-year contract is two things. Number one, a lot of businesses don't want to sign 10-year contracts anymore. It may have been a thing in the past that they used to do. Businesses are changing hands more often. They're rebranding more often. They are more comfortable with a shorter contract. And then number two, the value of that advertising is just going to go up. It's not going to go down. There's no way to capture people's eyes like we can capture people's eyes in Garden City. We've got the best place to advertise in all of Garden City. I mean, we get more people than any other events in Garden City. They sit there longer. A football game is 3 hours. A soccer game is 2 hours. A basketball game can be up to 6 hours. The Rocky Welton is 18 hours. You know, you just, in Garden City, there's nothing like we provide as far as advertisement and marketing goes.
And you'd put the board in the same spot.
Yeah, we would go back in the same exact spot. It would just kind of depend on if we stay the same size, if we go bigger, that. But it would go back. Now, there has been some conversation, Dodge City did move their video board. So ours is outside of the track. One thing that Dodge City did when they put their new video board in a few years ago, they put it inside of the track. We probably wouldn't move it, in all honesty. If we went bigger, we wouldn't move it. If we stayed the same, it would maybe something we discussed, just because it looks bigger the closer it gets. The other problem we've had with moving it is we get a lot of people that stand on the rail. And if you move it up, they're not going to be able to see it if they're standing along the rail there. So the ask for you guys is basically the ability for me to go. I worked with Jennifer Cunningham already a little bit on this. I was hoping we'd have a contract to show you guys tonight as an example, but to continue to work with Jennifer, go out to a few of these businesses and offer up these anchor sponsorship contracts, and then be able to come back to you guys and show you that we do have the ability to fund this project fully.
Okay, the contracts are going to be preliminary. I mean, they're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just, it would be based on your approval, so we would get the contracts, you guys would, they would be signed by the businesses, but they wouldn't be signed by you guys yet. Come back to you guys if I have, I mean, my request would be if I have the 4 anchor sponsors, that's $400,000 times 2 cycles, that's $800,000 just in anchor sponsorships. If I'm able to do that, we kind of need to get moving on the project. I've been asked to hold off on this project, not by Dr. Dominguez, but we didn't want to be doing the football field at the same time we did the video board at the same time. You know, so we've tried to stagger this out. The problem with staggering it all out is now we're in a time crunch because we do need to get something done before next year. Because if we don't, it's just going to be a black empty screen up there. You can go.
You ready?
Yeah.
So Drew and I have already talked, and I mean, I wish like Drew could be the salesperson for like everything in the district, because you're so good at your job. And the funny thing is, after we talked, I had literally asked the college, I'm like, I think you guys just need to give us your scoreboard. It makes more sense. Like we've got a mixer and it the thing, but here's my take, and I waited because I don't have questions. I have comments maybe for the board and just to put out there. One, the college did just get a video board. And so we do a lot of collaboration with the college, and the courses I think would be invaluable to our students. But I think that, again, that collaboration would give us potential to work with the college and maybe help them. I don't believe they have any courses right now, but to like establish those courses and really work together on that technology, because I do think that that is a wonderful thing for our students. The other thing is that just as a school board member, you know, this would be fantastic. And every idea that we have for athletics is always a fantastic idea. And I love it. My kids are in sports. I would love nothing more than an indoor tennis facility so they can practice year round, soccer, you know, so they could be more competitive with the east side of the state school. I get it. Like I want all those wonderful facilities without a doubt. But to me, as a school board member, we are responsible for the district. Not you are responsible for athletics, and man, you do a heck of a job and you're amazing. But as having responsibility for the entire district, what comes to my mind is priorities. And I know we have buildings that are not up to safety standards. They don't have proper entrances to make sure our students have the safety that they should have, like some of our other buildings. I know some of our bathrooms, they're well over 60 years old, and they do potentially, I shouldn't say potentially, when I have been in some of those schools, they smell and they need to be redone. And we're sending hundreds of kids into those, not to mention their parents and any other visitors into those schools. Most recently in the community, we have a real issue with childcare, and that affects many of our employees, and it affects our kids.
And this is something that the community should come together and work towards coming up with some sort of resolution for that. And whenever you're asking the community to invest in one area, then that takes away from the other. And I appreciate that this is no cost to the district. But again, as a district, we are constantly asking for community support in lots of areas. And I don't want to send a message to the community that this video board is our priority. I want the message to the community to support us in these other areas that to me are far more important than whether we can have playbacks for our games. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's fantastic technology, but it's not something that I feel is a necessity. It's a luxury at this point. And I think everybody is feeling the effects of changes in the economy. Prices have risen in a lot of areas. I mean, my kids tell me that the lunches suck. You know, I mean, maybe all school lunches have always sucked throughout time, but I'm just saying, like, even the cost of food has gone up dramatically. So I know we're gonna, talk as a board, and I told Drew too, at the end of the day, it's what the community wants to invest their money in. And if they want to invest their money in an amazing video board, that would definitely be great advertisement. There's no doubt about that. Then, I have to be supportive of that. So at the end of the day, it's not really up to me or even us as a school board, but for me personally, as a person who is representing the district and also hopefully for members of the community, I can't put my support behind this project right now, Drew, but I appreciate all the work that you do always. That's all.
Can I go back to a couple of things real quick?
Yes.
First off, I think a lot of times we think of this as a thing for athletics. It's not a thing for athletics. It's not going to determine whether we win or lose a single game. We're not going to get 8 more points on the football field because we have this, or 2 more goals for soccer, or 4 more points for basketball. This is really an educational thing. It's got a class curriculum that we're currently using. It's in our classes. We have classes that are based around the video board and the video board production already. The thing that happens if our video board goes away, those classes go away, those opportunities for students also go away. So it's not another thing for athletics, I guess I would say. The other thing is the junior college piece of this. With the junior college, they have a welding program, but we also have a welding program. We have state-of-the-art welders that are the best welders possible in order for when our kids leave Garden City High School, they've trained on the best possible welders. Our culinary program, we have the best culinary kitchen that you're ever going to find. It is amazing and beautiful, but because we expect when our kids leave, they can go straight into industry and work in a culinary kitchen. So those are some things that the junior college doesn't necessarily offer, that we do offer. They do offer welding, but there are going to be some of our kids that don't want to go to the junior college. That shouldn't prevent them from learning how to run and operate video production in that way. We took a group of kids to K-State this past week, and all of them got told the exact same thing. If you want to come in and work for us, you can do it next year. Come to K-State, you have a job next year, because of the stuff they're doing in their sports marketing class. The stuff our kids doing in sports marketing, there aren't very many colleges doing as much stuff as what we do in our sports marketing class. So those are some things that, yes, the video board is at an athletic event, but it's not an athletic thing. It doesn't determine whether a wrestler pins a kid or a basketball team wins a basketball game, or that it's really something for the community, the fans, and everybody to get excited about being at the school and have a better experience while they're at the school. And then the last thing about the community spending money, the other thing I'll say, I'll go ahead and say, I've got a really good friend that's in the Kansas State Athletic Department. This is advertisement dollars. Last year, Kansas State University from Finney County raised over $1.5 million in donations. So I understand what everybody's saying about it's a lot of money for our community. Our community is already heavily invested in these colleges, and whether it's KU, Fort Hays State, K-State.
we're giving them something for their buck compared to where, and it's up to them where they spend their money. It's not our job to determine what they spend their money.
You're saying you're capturing local value, if
Right.
you will.
Yes, there's actual value to the advertisement. 72% of people, and this is a nationwide stat, but 72% of people want to do businesses that do business with high schools.
Another quick question.
Yep, and I have one after you. I'm just saying it so I don't forget.
Okay,
Okay.
let's say we do this, you pay off the video board with the sponsorships. And now we've still got a video board that's functioning. Kids are doing great on it. And we paid all that off. Is there opportunity then for advertising revenue to go to other things?
Yeah, if we hit our targets, there's going to be at least $850,000 to go to other things in the second 5 years. And it's all going to determine, it could be more than that. If we determine after 5 years that maybe that anchor sponsor is a $30,000 spot and that founder sponsor is a $15,000 spot, it could be more, or it could be similar to what we get the first time. There are a lot of things that be addressed just at the high school alone. The thing that a lot of people don't understand, everybody sees our beautiful high school, and it's a beautiful high school, and we have some high school teachers that can attest to this, but it's 11 years old. I mean, our technology is all 11 years old, and we're struggling to deal with 11-year-old technology right now at the high school. So, and the video board's no different than the camera systems and the Wi-Fi and you pick it, everything's 11 years old. It's just time. Gets all of us.
They told you I'd forget. And it's more of a plug, I guess, than a question, but when you were talking, it just made me think of this football season and that football stadium being part of the community, and that there was some group or school involved in every home football game I was at from K through 12. Like either it was the football kids or the little cheer, the middle school cheerleaders were there.
So we had
The run-on part.
The run-on, we had and that's, COVID was hard on all of us. I mean, it just was hard on everybody. I don't care what side you fall on. It was hard on everybody. The one thing that I found is people were looking forward to community coming out of COVID. I mean, they really were. And so in talking, and a lot of that stuff, quite honestly, yeah, I'm at the top of the athletic department, but it was our people making that stuff happen. It was Bud Smithson and the Stuco kids with all the elementary schools having the elementary school of the week, or our cheer doing the Little Buffs cheer, or the little football, or homecoming's always a huge deal. It's always some other group but everybody, that's the beauty of football. Football is about football, but it's not really about football. It's about the band. It's about the dance team. It's about the cheerleaders. It's about the little kids football team. It's about the concession stand, and it's more than just a football game. That's the real beauty of what that does in these Midwest communities.
And it's more I'll think, but I just want to commend our school for that, because I come from a small school district where everybody goes to the football game on Friday night, and I feel like that's a challenge for 6A schools sometimes.
It is.
We go away to some of those Wichita games or things like that, and their hometown crowd or their student section is pretty small, and that's disheartening to me from what I came from. And to see Garden City and our district do that and make it a community thing, it invests everybody into our school, and I think that helps invest our kids from when they were little up into there. And that's really not relevant to spending all this money, because I agree with all your points, Dana. So.
The first 4 weeks, that we played, we didn't have a single date that we were below 2,000 fans, which traditionally that's like, if we get 2,000 fans, it's because it's the Hatchet game. It's not because it's the first game of the year and military appreciation night. It's not because it's little Buffs cheer. I mean, this year we did have a ton of support, but it's been with everything. It hasn't just been football. It's been soccer. It's been It's been all of it. We've had good games, yeah.
So I do have a question, not just a
Yep.
comment this time. So if the technology, so this video board that we have, it's 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So are we looking at replacing it in another 10 years? This is gonna be a 10-year process every 10?
It's a lot like turf. Eventually it's gonna wear out. It's like a TV. You know, Steve, Mr. Norby and I, we've kind of thrown back and forth, hey, we do this, we get this paid off in the first 5 years. What do we do with the money in the second 5 years? You know, the thing that this gives us opportunity for is maybe that's the money that we already have where we don't have to come back and do this. We've already self-financed the next board, or, you know, it's something to where we're working ahead. But yeah, every 10 years, it's turfs and TV and computers and anything that has technology. You're lucky if you get 10 years. I know in talking with one of the big businesses in town, they plan on a 3-year cycle for all their technology in their offices. They rotate every 3 years, so.
What do you think, direct replacement of what we have now? Without adding anything in the gym, if we just had to replace the one that's there now with something very similar in size?
I would guess probably I think I actually have an estimate somewhere, and it was like in the 280 range. The interesting thing about video boards, going bigger isn't really going to cost you that much more because it's just adding panels. You have to buy the 4 computers that operate it, and it's all the equipment that comes with it. Adding panels is relatively inexpensive, speaking.
Well, I guess I'm looking at it kind of a little different. We just replaced the turf and it looks nice. We got the wide end zones. It's fabulous. And I don't want as an appearance for our community in that we're gonna show up at this beautiful facility, new field with the TV that doesn't work. It's just a black hole sitting there. You know, I don't know if that's the best image that we want for our community also. We spent the money already on the turf. To me, it's kind of just, it's price of doing business.
I look at it a little different too. We're gonna have to do something to spend dollars to update the scoreboard because it's gonna eventually fail. I look at this as an opportunity, you know, for the community to help cover the cost of that. I mean, there is obviously a return on investment for these anchor partners, or they wouldn't be willing to fork over that kind of dollars. So from a business standpoint, people come to us all the time. It's like, hey, we need to put capital outlay for this, or we need to do this building's roof, or we need to update this. And a lot of times that's dollars, tax dollars that we have to allocate toward that. In this scenario, basically the community is helping us update a piece of equipment that needs updated, and they're getting value out of it. They're getting the name of their business to, you know, the numbers you gave of all the different people that come through our high school. They're getting value for that, and they hope that those people come and do business with them to where the scoreboard doesn't really cost them that's not out of the pocket dollars for them as well. So I think it's a great opportunity to update our scoreboard. I think it's a great opportunity to go above and beyond that. I'm going to put a little pressure on Drew to sell even more than what he's telling us he's going to sell, because I think there's an opportunity to update other things within the district with our community dollars, instead of going back to the taxpayer and asking for those dollars. I mean, these are businesses that are willing to invest in our district and invest in our community. So to me, it's pretty simple.
One of Dr. Alcourt is not going to like this. So I've had some initial talks with, obviously I'm not going to come to you and try to do all this stuff and not have some talks going with some businesses on whether we think we can get this done or not. But two of the businesses, when we talked commercials and how they would do the commercials, the advertisements they all want to run on there is employment. It is. I mean, they're all, when it gets going, like the two of those businesses, it's not going to be about their business. It's going to be about working for their business. So the value is definitely there. I mean, they get their eyes on, because if you read the package, it's not just the game itself. An example is we have the Hatchet game. We'll have 4,000 fans at the Hatchet game. So that's 4,000 fans looking at that video board for 3 hours, but at the same time, we average about 5,000 to 6,000 fans online streaming. And so the advertisement that goes on the video board also goes on the live stream. So that's another 5,000 fans watching for 3 hours on the live stream, seeing that commercial. So that's 9,000 eyes seeing those commercials. So the value of the video board is pretty significant to those businesses.
As long as we can advertise that we're hiring
Yep.
too.
Get your advertising ready.
Well, I've got anchor sponsors for sale. I've got founding sponsors. For sale. It's show business, not show threats.
Right.
So I guess from a board standpoint, I guess we just have to decide if we're willing to allow Drew to go put his toe in the water and test the market.
It's a motion in a second. We need more discussion and then action.
Yep.
I understand the hesitation. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot of money. It is a big project, but I think it's one that ultimately will be beneficial for us, our business community. I mean, we talk about the business community and being involved, so this will involve them.
How long do you think it'll take? Do you anticipate it's gonna take you to sell the founding partner?
The second level? I would hope in the next few weeks, I'd have all the anchor partners done. Come back to you guys with the anchor partners, and then I would knock out all the founding partners after that. I would hope it wouldn't take honestly more than a month and a half. The anchor partners surprisingly people have been real receptive to the anchor partners, and I've basically just started on. We have first right of refusals on almost all of our contracts, so I've gone back to the people that are on the board and started those conversations with those people.
I guess the way I look at it is, you know, if we have a system that doesn't even do what it did on day one. That's the way I understand.
2009, yeah, the system before the system was doing more than the system.
It doesn't operate like it used to. It can't be used the way it used to. And we're looking at $280,000 to just replace what we have. When you talk about having to replace roofs, having to replace HVAC units, I mean, that is just an ongoing maintenance cost of ownership that the district has to do. You're looking at $850,000. So to me, that's the margin that, you know, we got to plan on about 280 probably on our own. Unless that, you know, we just want to have anything that works there the way it was originally intended to. So with that, I'd feel better about this if you had sold all your anchor and founding partnerships before we approved this.
But you can't, I mean, there's a
That's hard
chicken or
to
egg
do.
issue here,
Yeah.
is the problem.
Yeah,
You can't sell something you didn't have.
right. And to be honest with you, some people, most of the people that I've talked to already don't want their names out on, because they don't want, hey, we're giving the X amount of dollars to the high school. So I've been pretty tight-lipped on that's where we start to run into issues
But if you were going to somebody saying, hey, I've got one of these left to go, if this goes forward, do you want to be that person? You're not giving that name out to anybody. You're just saying, I've got all these commitments made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of to me, I don't think it's necessarily chicken or an egg, because saying, hey, if this goes, will you be this partner? It's not like they're actually, you know, signing up, or I guess say having to pay money for something that might not come to fruition. They're just making a commitment to do it.
And we could do commitment letters. That's gonna take a lot of work between, I mean, if essentially this thing needs to be ordered by February to have a summer install.
And I guess I feel like I'm confident enough. You wouldn't be presenting this to us if you didn't think you could get those other, the next level of donors. So, or it's not donors, but advertising.
The scoreboard doesn't work at all, so it won't work as a scoreboard.
The bottom part of it does work, so we have and this isn't what we have now, but we have a scoreboard on the bottom that is ran separately. Everybody, like if you go out to the junior college, they're eliminating the scoreboard and they're just going video.
But the scoreboard,
The scoreboard itself works. We have had problems, but yeah. it does.
and the indoor scoreboards work, right?
You've been to a volleyball game?
Yes, I have actually.
Yes, we've had some radio transmitter issues. They're telling me it has something to do with the 5G. Our scoreboard controllers are on a frequency that's too close to 5G. So we've had to have them come in multiple times and replace radio transmitters and the scoreboard because they're all wireless. It's something along those lines, but yes, they do work. So if they shut off every now and then, it'll be fine.
Oh, well, just to get it on the table, I would move that we support that solicitation of the founding sponsorships as we presented. There's a lot of reasons we've discussed here, but and a lot of rock solid concerns about how the community funds what we're trying to achieve at USD-457. But I think it's worth the effort, and I applaud your initiative, and so I'd move that we support it.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there some more discussion? Question? Okay.
So is the motion to ask him to go secure the anchor partnerships? Is that
That's the way I
We work on the
understood.
contracts.
Yeah, you may have
which are
said this
subject
one,
to,
but I meant that.
yeah, the anchor, I'm sorry, the
Yep.
anchor. And pursue the contracts that will be subject to board approval.
Did that answer your question? Okay. Anything else? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, motion passed.
Thank you, guys.
Just
But you're not gonna buy a K-State quality 4-screen. I know you had a picture up there.
That's how much money we can raise.
Yeah.
No, they do have DAC, so they have a DAC board. All those four corner boards are all Daktronics. It's just, it's kind of the Daktronics is kind of the standard. I probably can't tell you an opinion on it right now,
But
but
again, it doesn't work without all those kids working in the
Operating.
background operating.
yeah. Yeah, so we took our kids, last Thursday, we took them up and actually showed them where K-State operates their video. Ironically, like you can't even see the field, you can't, it's a closet, not a closet, it's a big closet, but it's a big closet that everybody, they operate the ramblage out of, they operate the football field, yeah, so. It's a pretty neat process. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys not have candy you hand out anymore?
Do you want to come shake our hand?
I can get you a buffalo pin. I'm sure you don't have one.
You're right.
You're ready. I didn't even have to announce you.
All right. So, it got pulled off for the premium pay for $1,000.
It was just some elaboration on that.
Questions or?
So, yeah, my thinking of it was, and I understand what we're doing, I support it, I think it's good, I just kind of wanted to see if maybe we could take that a little bigger step than what we're taking. And I thought about it, and so if we do the $1,000 for the employees, by the time they're taxed on that, and that it drops that down. So I wanted it to come off just to see if there was an option to maybe increase that amount a little more. And I know it's not ever going to be perfect and right, but I recommend that we move it to $1,200. By the time people are taxed on that, that makes it a little closer to that $1,000 mark that we're trying to get to. So, I'm just trying to think of another way to benefit the employee a little bit because like I said, we say $1,000, but by the time they're taxed on that and everything, it's lower than that. So that was my motive for it, is just to try to maybe get a little buffer in there to get it a little closer to the $1,000 that we are trying to offer the employees for recruitment and retention and that. So that's the discussion that I wanted to have about that. And, you know, money wise and all that, if I misspeak or anything, please tell me, but you know, it's really not a budget deal. It's ESSER funds that are paying for it. So I think the money's available there if we choose to do that. But
And it goes from about 1.3 to 1.6, is that right?
Yeah, so the figure that was given to me was instead of 1,000 to do a $1,200 calculation, just so that you guys kind of know that frame of reference. So $1,000 is 1.37 million. And then bumping it to 1,200 across the board is 1.65 million. So it's an increase of 275,000.
This is money coming out of the ESSERs. And now I'm thinking buckets, but like first, second, or third bucket that was presented as third bucket, right? Okay. And then can you just to put the numbers out there, how much is in that third bucket?
12.5.
3.4 million total is what we had originally allocated to this school year, the next 2 school years. So we're partially utilizing ESSER funds that were not for proposals that were not, they came in under budget or did not move forward. So part of the funding is there. Part of it is that we're reallocating funds from the next 2 years to this additional stipend. Part of that has to do with we are desperate for people. So not only do we want to reward the people that have stuck with us, we also want to use this as a recruiting component, the surprise and delight. For staff. 12.5 million of ESSER 3 is available. Part of that has been earmarked for specific proposals so far.
I guess am I making sense? I just, if we're gonna say we're giving you $1,000 bonus, trying to get it as close to that as we can. They're putting money in their pocket.
Yeah.
In their pocket, so that's my motive.
And I think that's a good positive thought. I look to her immediately and say, can we afford it? I mean, that's the question, so. And that's money, it's supposed to impact the kids directly, and we can provide all the classrooms and teaching supplies, you know, that we want, but if we don't have the staff there to teach or to be there, then that's kind of irrelevant too. May have talked in circles. It made sense.
I agree with Randy. I mean, I think if we have the funds and we have the opportunity to invest in our people, I think we should do it.
I worry about the future, but don't we all?
Are you questioning it like the funds won't be there later to do it again? Is that what you're questioning? Or?
Always.
Yeah, that crossed my mind too.
Because we want them here today and tomorrow.
Right.
But the logic is rock solid as far as trying to get that $1,000 in their pocket. So, I mean, it's normally we try to have some kind of conversation about a strategic future, but of course, always in motion that future is. So, the bottom line is we've got wonderful folks and we've got a job to do and they're doing a great job. We want to hold on to them.
You know, I'm always curious though, and it would be very interesting to get feedback from our staff, because, you know, I've read a number of different articles that talk about increase in pay is really not the incentive that gets people to stay in jobs. It's the environment, it's the
Number of things.
number of things, but a lot of times pay is not at the top of that list like we think it is.
Pay
And
usually gets them in the door, but it
Yeah.
doesn't keep them.
there you go, thank you. So, I mean, I'm on board with this, please don't get me wrong, but, you know, this is why I'm always asking for input from our people, because is this truly what they want? You know, sometimes we think we know what they want, but I would be truly interested to know, is this the form, that they would like this to have this? And I know, I mean, we've heard time and again, they want more help, they want teachers in the classrooms and paras, and so I get that, and I really hope that this can help contribute to that, but I really am curious about that.
I am too. I'm really interested in the pay study, what that will show.
Yeah, I mean, this exact topic, I mean, we've talked about it time and time again, in leadership. We've got to do something to stay competitive within the market. But even talking to Dodge City Public Schools recently, they are paying their paras a higher rate than what we do, and they're still struggling to get people to. So really knowing that it's a human capital issue in Southwest Kansas, across the nation, across the state. But we still want to be competitive to get people to the school district versus a private company. So really balancing what, are we looking at compensation? Are we looking at benefits? Are we doing a combination of both? What is our edge on the market to attract people here instead of somewhere else?
And this again is a stipend at the end of the year.
Yes, so this would be $1,000 paid on May 18th. It would be for all staff currently existing or hired. So currently existing, still employed with us May 18th, or new staff that we hire between November 15th and March 15th. So trying to find ways of using this to onboard people, letting them know there's an additional $1,000, which works out to roughly 2 weeks of free pay for a para. So looking at that as a extra bonus, this would be a completely separate ACH deposit for all district employees on May 18th, separate from your normal paycheck on the 15th.
And this is what leadership is recommending.
Yeah. Yes, it has two big ancillary benefits. One, provides an opportunity for our classified staff who sometimes don't get paid in the summer. This may bridge the gap where they don't have to go and take on a second job, where they may be able to kind of move through the summer with some assistance from the district through this pay. And then secondly, this is an opportunity for certified staff. If with the cost of goods and everything going up, here's a chance, go take a long 4 or 5 day vacation you may not have been able to afford because of cost. Now you have an opportunity here to go get some rest and relaxation through these pieces. Because there was a comment made from certified staff that they were planning on using their $1,800 or $1,900 ESSER payment that's already planned in, saving that back for a kind of a vacation in the summer. But now, due to cost of goods being more expensive, that those are having to go cover bills a little bit. And so that's something that they're hoping that, they're just not gonna be able to do. Well, this may be some of that added benefit to say, hey, I can go take a long weekend now and use this money to kind of get away and rest and relax before it comes back up. So I'd see two big benefits for classified and certified staff as well.
It's been a discussion that I've had. Dr. Dominguez teases me about it, but we've talked about it. I mean, because, and I've shared it with most of you, that I'm running around 30 plus pairs short right now in special education. I mean, that's huge. And, we interview them and we offer them jobs, but when they see the pay, oftentimes they're like, yeah, no, thanks. And we can't even get them in the door because they see the pay. We're dealing with that, not just with paras, but I think our classified staff. I mean, Joe's seen some pretty significant turnaround in his office. I have. It's because they can go somewhere else and make $2 or $3 more an hour. Gotta be competitive. And so this is a way to at least help with that a little bit. I'm hopeful. I just need bodies.
Then we'd be utilizing the compensation study to get us the second half of that information, so that then when we're budgeting for next year, we have a better idea of the comprehensive pay scale for the district and what funds do we have available or projected to have available for the following year, so that we know what we can do.
Yeah.
Well, I'd make a motion to move on with the premium pay plan, increasing the amount to $1,200 an employee.
For a second,
I'll second.
any other discussion or questions? Okay, everyone in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We tried to stump you, but. We have board open discussion. Volunteers.
I'll start.
Okay, thank you.
I'm impressed. It's a little overwhelming sometimes to see all the things that go on with the district, and I thought working for the city, there was a lot going on, but and the school district is busy. So all the great things that everybody does and all the schools and man, there's a million things that happen that I'm really glad to see and be a part of now. So you guys, it's amazing.
Andy?
You know, I know that, you know, the issues with finding and staff, paras, teachers, I mean, finding staff in any industry is hard right now. And education, I know, is just that much more difficult. And I know there's a lot of effort and energy being put forth by administration on solving that problem and just trying to create the best learning environment for our students. So I just thank you guys for your efforts in that and just, you know, keeping a focus on that.
Oh, were you gonna? I'll forget you, Doctor.
Somebody already said it and you probably can't see it, but I have my vote earrings on. So tomorrow is the vote. If you haven't already voted. It's an important right that we all have. So I hope everybody will take advantage of that and vote tomorrow. I always appreciate the presentations that come to us and the discussion that we have as board. It's great, the questions that I never think of and different ideas that you all bring to the board. And it's really nice. And I feel good about those discussions, even when we don't always agree on things and I have to be the only one raising my hand. That's okay. Because that's what we are all representing, different parts of the community and have different voices. And I just think that's really important. And I just respect and really enjoy the conversations and the discussions that we have up here now. So yeah, thanks everybody. It feels like October like came and went, like not a single pumpkin at the Nanaga house. Like it's just so busy. And so I just appreciate, man, those of you working with kids, Mr. Lappin with what he does. I mean, it's just to reiterate, it's just really, we're really blessed. And I wish more people would get into our buildings. We'd get more people into our buildings to be able to see those things, you know, firsthand. So I do encourage the community to do that. I don't know that we have hundreds of people watching our board meetings, as fascinating as they are. But you know, you just get a slight perspective. It's like, you know, Randy said, it's crazy how much is going on in the district. So I just encourage people to experience it. You know, even if you don't have kids, it's just such a vital part of our community. And so, yeah, that's just my push. Vote. Experience our district.
Good presentations, good thoughts. You know, I know they are, but I just hope we find new and better ways to communicate between each other because we need to out there in the industry. A lot of good challenges, but good people, so. The way we can support them, we just want to do that as a board. So I'm glad we have 7 and they're all great. So this is a good thing.
That's what I have.
John?
I just, I'm last in line here, but the Edith Sharman presentation and the fact that they won the Civil Engagement Award was awesome. Brandy's killing it over there with all her staff, and the students were so engaging, and it was a great presentation. So I thought that was cool. One of the things that figured one of y'all would mention before me, but Garden City High School set a record of 90.9, our graduation rate. Like, that's the highest. The way I took the presentation was that's the highest graduation rate we have had. So I think that's awesome. Those are the type of records we want to set, and I want to beat it next year, and I want to keep beating that and continue to increase our graduation rate. But I appreciated them coming and giving us the data on that from all three of them, all three principals on the graduation rate. So I really enjoyed that. And then the last thing I would just say is I appreciate the administration being thoughtful and creative and trying to find different avenues to retain our current employees and get new employees into the district. So I appreciate y'all working on that and trying to think outside the box to get the people that we need to educate our students. So thank you guys for that.
I think a lot has been said that I wanted to say, but a lot of celebrations tonight. Yeah, I really appreciate the board and the staff and the leadership team that we face all these challenges with a positive attitude, even when it's hard. There's just always an outlook that we can do better somewhere. That hopefully overshadows the negative that comes at us, because there is a lot we do in the district that everyone does in the district that's not right out in front of us. So a lot of behind the scenes. And a positive meeting. Dr. Dominguez?
Absolutely. I'll piggyback on the celebration, but Edith Sherman, amazing. Went to the Red Academy today. If you haven't been to the Red Academy, absolutely phenomenal. They got culinary arts, they have the small motor, I mean, it's just absolutely every opportunity for a student. I was just amazed, once again, the emerging media, the TV, the radio. They've got a podcast booth that is coming into play. So once again, the emerging media that wasn't even there, they're pushing that. The TV, the radio station, I was just, I mean, just blown away once again with Western Kansas, the opportunities that are provided our students. Now 90, you're right, the graduation rate, we got to go higher, but we just got to keep, I mean, setting the goals for them and keep moving them forward, because I mean, it's there for them if they want it. I mean, they just need to set some goals for themselves, the individual student, with their teachers, with their shareholders at home, and let's just keep moving forward. But it was just very powerful. Once again, definitely get to the middle schools and the elementaries and so forth, but this that top end, man, it was just so impressive. Everybody's just, I mean, just pushing that envelope of trying to get better. So I mean, just so, I mean, once again, that's what you get an education for. So, and this is empowering for us as a educator, but for the students and the next generation. So this is another celebration on top of many other celebrations.
There's not anything else. The next Board of Education meeting will take place on Monday, December 5th at 6 p.m. in the board meeting room. And we will move on to an executive session.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session for 45?
45.
Okay. 45 minutes to discuss a personnel matter presented to non-elected personnel exception under KOMA to discuss an individual employee's performance, beginning at, do you guys need a small break? 10:05?
I don't.
Thank God.
I was wanting to see how long it took somebody.
You could have told me. You probably knew
I was gonna tell
do
you
that. Oh, good, great, thank you. At 9:05. And the open meeting will resume in the board meeting room. John, you want to help me with 45 minutes? 9:50. I would like to invite Dr. Dominguez to join us in executive session.
Second.
Teamwork, it's so good.
I'll say.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.